break the game apart for gaming gladiators at that point. Maybe we were they should have not react to that at some point or ignore or something and find a better like fight a bit later on, like so we don't lose the phase of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my theory so far of like what Team Spirit's trying to do looks true with these bans. Like, they don't want Dyrachyo to play CK. They don't want him to play Weaver. He has played other heroes like Alchemist, Razor, but those are much later picks. And if they are on the first pick, by the way, Gaming Gliders, they chose first pick this game, so they wanted to change just the draft order up just a little bit here. And it's pretty clear, Toro's going to be like, I will take these away from you. These heroes, I don't play a lot of them, but I'll play them. I'll play them just as good as you, if not better, which is getting into your head for sure. But now you're in a situation where Dyrachyo, he's been playing a bunch of Weaver, a bunch of CK, and then later on the draft, this Alch gets banned. It has to be a perfect Razor game. I think Dyrachyo's hero has been very key for Gaming Gladiator's success here, and Team Spirit's really focusing it down.
This opening pick from Gaming Gladiators, we've seen quite a lot. It's been respect banned against them a ton of games in this tournament, but obviously at some point it will make its way through. This is not the first time they get to play it on the main stage, and you know, that's usually what happens when teams get all the way to the grand finals, is they just have so many good strategies that you pick your poison, right? And you see here Ace with a 3-1 scoreline on the Primal Beast, and you know, Spirit probably feeling pretty good about breaking his 0-loss streak on the Lone Druid. It was 4-0 before the last game. They took that one out. Now it's time to take out arguably maybe his second best hero of the tournament.
Yeah, I think that just speaks to the confidence of Team Spirit. I think last game they left the Pangolin in, they left the Lone Druid in. They will have something prepared for each of the heroes. Something to know is like, they've sort of been chilling for a bit, you know, they get to watch Gladiators play a lot of games. They're going to have the time to develop a counter strat for each one of these picks. I think what Fear said was right on the mark, like making sure that Dyrachyo doesn't play these aggressive carries and keeping off the Weaver and CK, it looks really good for him. So I think they'll continue to want to do the same line of thought, like just make sure that your Dyrachyo's game's a bit to slow down. Ooh.
And this was definitely a change that they made in the draft. They decided to collapse Magnus. We'll let it through. They played it only one single time at this TI, and that was in their last series. And Collapse was an absolute madman in that series, doing what he was doing at TI10, just getting all the skewers in the world here. He didn't have the strongest early game, but I think if you do put this in the off lane, correct me if I'm wrong, probably not the strongest offlaner right now with the way he builds, but they played with a Shadow Demon last time. They just got a lot of stacks up, so maybe we can look for them to ban out the Shadow Demon so Mag doesn't have that recovery option.
Yeah, Shadow Demon is one of the best heroes to counter Primal Beast. Primal Beast also is like, it's countering him on all stages of the game. Like, it doesn't let him get stacks, it's cancelling his ulti, you can hide him, when he gets BKB you hide your teammate. It's actually an amazing hero against this. I think it's probably one of the best support counters to Primal.
Is there anything else you think Gaming are debating here that could be an even more important ban? Like, you know, the classic, if you haven't watched Dota for a bit, you're like, oh, Magnus, now there's going to be an Empower carry. Is there anything that is a really strong Empower carry that's also good against Primal? No, it's going to be the Shadow Demon, so right on point there. What are you thinking for Spirit here? Are you saving your Tauros hero until the very end, or is there something valuable you could grab now against the Primal? And on top of that, do you expect this to go offlane even? Quinn has played Primal as well.
I would probably think they want to wait just because there is that potential of the flex. I think when you play with Magnus, you actually don't need to think about the Empower too much. For example, you play some PA with Magnus, usually you actually still buy the Battle Fury, just because Dota's, there's just a lot of camps. You don't want to make one of your other cores run to another core in order to just to empower you. I think right now they should think that they've given the Primal Beast. Right now they need something that does enough damage to kill it. I think probably, do you know if A was banned last game, or is it just unpicked unbanned? I think that's sort of rare for this tournament, honestly. I think it was picked and banned pretty much first phase in like most of the other games I've seen. I think they could look at something like an AA. You see Phoenix is already out, and the Shadow Demon's out, so I think they want to make sure that they get a support who can deal with this Primal.
A looks pretty interesting, like, but it's also need a good partner on lane, because it's not the strongest laner, I guess, on easy lane, but Miposhka plays it very, very good, like on next level. Enchantress.
That's a 5 that is strong in lane, I've heard.
We're gonna do a cringy mid.
We're gonna cringe the mid this one with Enchantress for sure. This is one of Miposhka's like signature heroes. He's really good at this, and I think when you do play a hero like Magnus, who will take a little more time, might be a little bit slower, having that early game pressure can help a lot, and we'll have to see. Like, I believe Varl probably still can play the Magnus if they want to go that route, but normally when you do see it on Spirit, you don't have to automatically think collapse. But will Gaimin also automatically think collapse as well, or are they going to respect it and think that it could be a potential mid laner?
Yeah, I think Enchantress is also one of the supports that eventually you're actually the one who can kill the tanky heroes. In the Projo, he pretty much always plays for the Hurricane Pipe plus Moonshard and BKB. Like, I saw sometimes Celery's playing for like the Solar Crest Pipe, but I usually don't see Projo go for that type of build.
Something interesting to that point is I was reading over a breakdown of team farm distribution, and for Team Spirit, I think Miposhka has a higher average gold per game than Mira does, right? So it's clearly by design that they're giving Miposhka a lot of space in the game as position 5. And obviously this, as you guys pointed out, can turn into a carry. Do you think there's like a specific type of 4 that is perfect for that mindset? That, okay, if Ench needs to take some space at some point in the game and get strong, this is the type of 4 you want to pair it with? Or is it kind of not really that relevant and you're just counterpicking specific heroes rather than making a duo?
I think it's mostly Mira playstyle. Like we both share the responsibilities of 4 and 5 in a way, so it kind of looks like we're both playing 4 and 5 and even sharing warding a lot of times. So I think any hero Mira gonna play is gonna fit that role.
Yeah, and I think Mira in general, he just likes to play the damage that just follows up. He plays a lot of Dark Willow. He plays the Phoenix as well with the Grimstroke, Skywrath, these types of heroes that don't farm very fast, but they do go for kills, and of course Enchantress, you know how fast this hero can farm as well. So Projo just gets more gold by nature of the heroes he plays, but I do like how Gaming Gladiators, they're sticking to their guns quite literally here with the Morta yet again for Tofu here. And I like this combination a lot with the Nature's Prophet as well. You just come in, you sprout them, you get a free Deadshot target on the sprout, and you just push them back, so a lot of synergy there.
Do you think there is going to be the necessity for Nature's Prophet maybe even to rotate? Like, how does this lane matchup go between what we're assuming is a 5-position Ench playing in the safe lane versus a 4 Muerta off lane? Is that one of the matchups that Muerta will struggle in, or can she hold her own?
I think it's a pretty stable lane for Muerta. It always depends a little bit for Ench. There's a little bit element of RNG. Sometimes you want the hard camp to spawn even if you're playing as an Ench because you think you control the side, but then it spawns Wildkins and you're just like, oh, I guess I lost a lane. But I think especially with a Faceless Void who's like a more stable laner that you don't harass as much, you can actually use this to your advantage on the Morta side. I think most likely this is going to be Ace Primal. If you have Morta and Primal Beast together, you can like, Push has to be really careful on the edge. He can get 100 to 0'd really quickly in the lane.
And there's the Grimstroke that you were mentioning here coming out.
Yeah,
You expected on Mira.
Great partner for Magnus, and overall it's pretty good hero against Primal Beast too. Overall, Void and Magnus is one of the best like partners, and this is looking scary if the game get delayed a bit because we have insane amount of AoE BKB control. AoE.
And I think if you're Gaming Gladiators here, if you're fitting the bill of like needing a Duracho as hero, the hero that kind of stands out the most if they're successful with this would be an Alchemist around this point. And a lot of the other heroes that he might want to go for, like the Razor, you're not going to pick that versus a Faceless Void. Potentially, if they want to, it could be an okay Wraith King game in the carry. It would be a bit faster, so...
I really like the Wraith King actually. I think it'd be really stable in lane. Right now, I think they should want something that they can leave alone in the safe lane. If you have the Wraith King in the safe lane, even if your lane starts to go slightly bad, you can just go to the bad camps, and this allows Fira to make the plays. I think right now, their #1 priority is making sure that their supports are freed up to rotate onto mid.
Will this fit the bill, though, for how Duracho has been playing in your face, hitting these really fast timings and running at you? Definitely the same style as like an Alchemist, but probably comes on a little bit slower because you don't get that blink as early. But if he has a good laning stage, it could do what they need him to do.
Are we getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here? Is this guaranteed to be carry Wraith King? We've seen Gaming Gladiators put the off lane and they could put the Primal mid. I feel like the flex is still there. What would you guys rather like to see if you were in their shoes right now? Do you think the Wraith King 1 or the 3 fits the bill better here?
I'd be really happy with the Primal Beast on 3 and Wraith King on 1, but they definitely could do it. They could switch it up if they, even like at the end of the draft, they could pick another hero that's flexible to another role and just keep Spirit guessing. It wouldn't be a bad idea. I think, personally though, like the only other hero I can see sort of slotting into the safe lane would be the Alchemist that Fear mentioned. And I'm not too sure like if he does that job better than Wraith King. I think he's a bit more susceptible.
They did ban pressure, so they are keeping.
So they are thinking that it can be an off-lane Wraith King in mid-primal.
Yeah, we can still pick a carry hero too, but we are not really flexing that much because last pick is still on Team Spirit.
I'm just looking at what carry heroes are left that if they get banned here, that's going to be good versus Void. Is Wraith King going to be the most punishing hero for a faceless Void in the laning stage as well? These are all the decisions that they need to come up with, because Wraith King is already really greedy if it's an offlaner, which would give you more space technically as a carry to make things happen, but a lot of the good ones that can be faster are probably just going to get removed.
This is quite a rare sight in the last phase, right? To see a team ban one carry and one offlaner. I think most of the time you kind of commit to the one idea, okay, this is the biggest threat, is that they put the heroes in this way. But the way Spirit seems to be approaching this is these are the two specific heroes that cause the most problem for our Faceless Void, it seems like. Do you guys think this Lone Druid ban would have been, or this Lone Druid would have been a really big problem for their safe lane to deal with?
I feel like that should have been a Spectre maybe, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I also watching a Spectre and I thought to point it out, like it might give the tempo what we needed, because this hero now like is really aggressive and it cannot add up to the Furion global pressure.
Can't really get chronoed either, right? Like Magnus initiations kind of get ruined by this hero. It's a little bit different. You don't have the global until you get the Aghanims, but it's still, whenever you think about playing versus a Faceless Void, you want to play a hero that just doesn't show up to the fights with illusions or has 2 lives, or can just have infinite jump from like anywhere on the map. So that could be a good choice if they do want to put this Primal into the mid lane.
These actually are 2 pretty decent mid bans for Primal as well. Both Necrovolts and the Volcar I think have pretty good matchups for Sim. So I think they might be looking to get a new carry here.
Just the Invoker ban protecting against the EMP for the Wraith King regardless of role.
I think it's there, of course. Okay, Morphling.
Well, this hero is like pretty decent in lane versus Magnus, because you can match his humongous base damage. There's really no kill threat as well for Magnus against the Morphling, so that does help a lot. And of course, the attribute shift will help if you get Chronosphered. But this hero is slow, and this is not how Gaimin has been winning most of their games, by Duracho just sitting back and hitting timings. They've been in your face, so it looks like Gaimin's adapting to the series.
They might sort of have a read, because they have a Furion versus Grimstroke, which I think is a very favorable support.
Coming full circle here.
But I think if Morphling wins his lane, then he can actually be a hero that's sort of impossible to kill on the map, and he's actually pressuring a safe lane, but you have to win your lane in order for that to happen.
I believe this matchup, the Morphling against Magnus, was the exact one that Spirit played against LGD in the upper bracket. Is that correct? I think that was how they tried to solve
Yes, they did.
Nothing to say Magnus.
Yeah.
Do you think the conditions here are equally good? Obviously, Spirit did come out ahead in that game with the Toro and the Morph. Or is there something to be worried about for Duracho?
It's a different type of game, I would say, because in the last game, like Collapse was playing CK, just crushing the lanes, which allowed Yatoro to get the farm, and Spirit has proven that in late game, they're that type of team to take it.
All right, that's going to conclude the draft for us here. We are going to go over to a coach interview with CY from Gaimin Gladiators.
Thank you very much. Yes, I am joined by CY of Gaimin Gladiators. A tough game 1, but whenever these post-game discussions happen, you're obviously being able to say everything that we see, the entire game. Your players only have half the information. So whenever you're debriefing, do you spend much time telling them this is why things went wrong based off of all the information I have? Or do you mainly focus on, forget about it, here's what we're going to do for game 2?
It depends a bit. Sometimes you need to readjust like how you value certain heroes, for example in the draft. But it also depends a bit on lanes. Let's say the lanes go bad. Okay, it's reset, go next game, right? You don't want to be too affected by it. It also depends, like this tournament I can hear the communication. So I can hear it's like chill still, like we're like not stressed or anything like that. So I don't really need to do any work in that regard. So I kind of consider what I have to say and what I don't have to say, and then take it from there.
How about the lanes for this game? We got good expectations on how the first 7 minutes are going to go for you?
I have good expectations, so I hope my boys can live up to it.
I hope you guys are up for it also, because we're getting ready for game number 2.
This game needs to start off very well for Gaimin Gladiators, because while this may be a best of 5, this game 2 feels particularly important, Avery. I mean, last game, Spirit, they took your best trait, your speed, took it away from you and turned it right back around. They ended that game so fast.
And this time, they're going to take the late game and the scale, right? Void, Magnus, this is a lineup that is very happy to go into that late game. And particularly when you have Yatoro in the reins of this Faceless Void, it is a fearsome beast. This is a strat that goes all the way back to, I remember, TI6, TI5 era, where people were developing the Magnus. Wings Gaming were a team that took this strat all the way to the grand finals. We're happy to play this Magnus with the Void, particularly on Shadow. So this is a throwback for me, being back in Seattle, seeing this once more on the main stage here. We're going to see what Team Spirit can do to get to that late game once again against Gaming, who have continually punished teams for the greed, for the slowness, for the willingness to go to 60 to 70 minutes. They just don't want to let you get there. But here they've gone for kind of a hybrid draft, right? Going for Morphling in their own hands on Dyrachyo, a hero he is perhaps more infamous than famous for.
Yeah.
In some sense.
Well, I mean, the right kind of performance on a TI final, that could change the entire narrative about his Morphling. He's going to try and do just that by taking away and taking down Yatoro's Faceless Void. But there's also some other notable heroes. I feel like we focused a lot on Yatoro in that last game for a good reason. He had a monster performance, but there's also some other big ones here for Team Spirit. I'm looking at that Maposhka Enchantress, man. I feel like this is Enchantress and Chens, they are really scary in this current meta, even if we don't see them all the time. I mean, we saw the way that Chen worked for Gaming Gladiators, and Maposhka is going to try and make that Enchantress work for the laning phase.
Enchantress is a hero both these teams really highly value and contest. It's a hero that's been banned against Gaming a lot, so they opted to take it away here. It's also a hero that can deal pretty well with Primal Beast in those mid games with the Enchant ruining his charge in. I don't know, when I saw that Ench come out, it gave them the tempo they needed with a Magnus opener to feel really good about it, so they just don't fall behind too much on the lanes. And a quick little body block to push it under the tower here to try and secure the equilibrium. Very heads-up play. Dyrachyo read it, got a block of his own, and it will end up outside the tower. So nice heads-up play by Dyrachyo to counteract that, as they're going to start 3 top. Maybe looking for a cheeky kill on the Furion, who's TP'd up here.
Yeah, that would actually be an interesting idea, but they quickly abandoned that as Celery waves goodbye to the Enchantress as Maposhka heads back down to that bottom lane, which is going to be Ace and Tofu in the Muerta plus Wraith King, the double undead hero against the Faceless Void of Yatoro. And then Enchantress.
A very deadly lane as well. We've seen a lot of like the Wraith King Dark Willow come back. That was a classic a couple TIs ago. Wraith King Muerta equally as strong. You get the insta-stun into silence, into Deadshot pushes you back in. Your attack speed so you can't fight. Skeletons are hitting you.
What did you expect?
Very high kill threat on this lane and a lot of pushing power if you start to run away with it. So this is an off lane for Gaimin. They want to go very well. They want Ace to drive the tempo and the objective control of the game, which is something he didn't get to do last time because Team Spirit brought the gank parade to him, right? So that's a big question as well. Do Spirit decide to commit the same resources into shutting Ace down this time around? And does that just inadvertently free up more room for Dyrachyo on a hero that I feel like has a better time this game than the Gyro did in that last one? It's a stronger hero in the meta, and
there it is.
Decent matchups, and yep, already on the board.
Yeah, you said this combo is deadly. Any sort of forward position that can output some good damage off that Wraithfire Blast. You got to be careful if you're a support in lane. Gaming Gladiators will find the opening kill.
And this early game is going to be a question for Gaimin in terms of how much they get out of it, because they have the Furion that can TP, accelerate the lane ganks. They have a Primal Beast who can just gobble up runes, gank side lanes very early. He is the king of it. Maybe not a hero we've seen Quinn play a lot, but one he has practiced very well in pubs recently and is very comfortable on. So this could be an incredibly fast early game just in terms of the gank potential, not necessarily just taking your towers, which is also a reason if that Wraith King lane goes really well for Gaimin, it's a lane they can easily rotate to. Because again, the kill threat is just so damn high.
The heal, too much, and now they're going to turn back around with the Nature's Attendants leveled up. And Ace will take a bit of damage as he heads back in, but Yatoro doesn't want to miss his CS. Right now, lanes are going pretty well for, despite that early first blood, we got the Pango taking the top spot on the CS chart. Nice dead shot.
See how much Laurel can do with this. It was kind of a quiet Pango game last time around, right? I think Quinn was struggling to find his openings, and this is a hero you can get to play your tempo game to control the runes combat where Quinn wants to go with the Primal Beast. You can definitely turn some of those ganks around. I think that's what Laurel's looking for, more than being the aggressor, right? I think him just going in these lanes is going to be difficult because you don't have a lot of damage fall, but if Gaimin overextend, dive you under one of these side lane tier 1s, then suddenly the Penguin can come in with a counter gank and the Rolling Thunder and turn things around. You're really happy with that type of gameplay here because, again, you're farming it up. You got Magnus Faceless Void. You know Gaimin are going to go into you.
This is a hard duo to match up against. You throw that Inkswell on the Magnus. He pulls you closer with the Shockwave. You get hit by the stun, and then that stun leads into a free skewer back. So even underneath your tower, you are not safe.
And the Grimshark could be really nice this game as well. Just throwing it on these cores that want to jump in and get the extra, you know, debuff them out, reset the fight or the primal. These types of interactions could help them take the team fights in the mid game when they're likely going to be behind a little bit in terms of the speed, right? Because Gaimin are pulling a decent position out in terms of the laning phase here. doing pretty well on their cores in terms of CS.
He gave him the Harpy. That's going to make a big difference in this bottom lane. He's going to die now, but does some decent economic damage. And now he's got a small little Hellbear to work with, too.
I mean, it's also just time. Yatoro gets to sit down here. There's a lane that eventually will kick him out. Quinn amping up the pressure here. Has a little bit of an XP advantage, pushing this triple ranged wave. I mean, this is pretty rare. You get 3 range creeps. He pushed into the tower. Laurel will clean it all up. No roam coming in early here. Just way too high on the HP to make it look enticing. And of course, these side lanes, vital to your game plan. Still, he's just going to go for it.
Here comes the rotation, though. Mira gives him the ink swell underneath the tower, but he stops him midway through the charge, and Quinn, caught underneath the tower, will die.
Sometimes greed is good, and sometimes you get punished for it. Mira happy to counter that. Push Laurel ahead in the XP. Now you're going to have a Rolling Thunder.
Oh, what a sprout! Collapse, cut down a tree, but he was still stuck on the corner there. Did have some stick charges to work with, though, and so he will survive for now. They wanted to be able to punish the fact that Mira had to TP into that mid lane, but couldn't quite finish the job.
It's a game about pressure. Every time one of these supports makes a move, you need to create the pressure somewhere else, so the enemy just can't clump on you. Get the numbers. Yatoro gets pushed back into the silence.
Oh, he time walks up now. He's still kind of in a sticky spot here. Gaming Gladiators are going to try and run him down. Looking to throw the blood grenade, but he'll make the difference. He's going to show up with that Rolling Thunder. Do manage to finish him up with the 2 supports, but Laurel, he'll be collecting some heads here.
Even the Wolf gets a couple hits in.
Stuck there on the corner, but that's okay. The Swashbuckle will finish the job.
A lot of XP going into the Pango and the Ench down here. Yatoro, little sad he died there and doesn't get it for himself, but I mean, that's sometimes the life of a Faceless Void versus a lineup that is going to pressure you, is going to go for that kill. And if it was a lot cleaner, maybe Gaming can just walk that off, but Team Spirit, they get the rotation in. Suddenly this Pango's having a terrific game off of that in the turnaround mid. And those are those counter turns that Laurel's looking for, right?
Yep.
Force the Wraith King in, force this Morphling into an aggressive situation. Maybe Quinn dives you, and that's when you get the strike here. Arcane Rune picked up for Quinn. This is a really nice rune on the hero.
See if he pops it here to try and deal with Mira. The silence is going to last a while. Can he get it? Yes. Quinn, very fast with the trigger there. Does manage to get him. Collapse going to try and dissuade Quinn of that notion. And he does manage to do so successfully, keeping him off his support.
And the quelling, saving Mira at the end from the Sprout. So value pickup already for him. Arcane Rune's still in the bottle, so Quinn can still look for a rotation off this, and he probably wants to. I mean, his early game is getting a little slow here, and you have threat on the sidelines, right? And this is where the Primal Beast strikes really hard, really fast, gets momentum going for the team. That's your theoretical ideal. You just shove in mid, make the move. Wisdom Rune. There is a Furion.
There is. There's always the opportunity of the Celery to try and make a move, but I feel like the teams have been really good at protecting their Wisdom Runes against invasions, particularly against the Nature's Prophet. More times than not, it seems like Nature's Prophet tries to make that kind of move. He just walks into a trap.
Just a hard gamble. If you use your teleport for that, you're dead on the map for 60 seconds, and your chances to get it should be minimal in a TI Grand Final, I want to say.
Yeah. Good D-ward there. Now that'll help because Quinn wants to be able to make moves, particularly with this Arcane Rune, which he's going to put to use now. Caught a mid-shield crash. So that ability no longer there with the 2 support rotations. It's easy to kill Laurel.
Exactly what they're looking for. Combine the calling dead shot with this Primal Beast. Anybody goes down to it at this point, and this is where you want to ramp up the speed. Start getting the map in a position where you can just guarantee the power runes for Quinn and get the connections going, and hopefully lead to like jungle invasion, right? Because the one thing you have to think about with the Magnus is the stacks. And if their carry just gets to sit in triangle and double ancients and clear through them at that point in time, the earlier you take down these tier 1s, the earlier you get aggressive obs out, the happier you're going to be when that period comes. Another power rune should be secure from Quinn here.
Oh, these runes are getting a little crazy. Oh, that skewer plays against Collapse as he does a ton of damage onto himself thanks to the trample from Quinn. Blocked out by his own Sprout, though. He's going to try and get to the other side of this cliff. Laurel does hop down to chase after him, though.
Laurel showing the power of a non-real hero in his hands as he will take that rune away from Quinn. No haste. I mean, that's one of those situations you almost rather take the haste rune. It's so damn good on your hero. Collapse will suicide himself to take Quinn out in the process.
Yeah, kind of have to be careful with those skewers against the Primal Beast. That kind of movement could be deadly.
Look at this. Just a quick rotation from the supports. Power of Enchantress, early creep, takes down 2/3 of this tier 1 mid.
Yeah.
Didn't even feel like that was a real move, but they still got a lot of this tier 1 tower damage out from it. Once again, it's Gaiman responding to some early objective pressure. the whole time this is happening, it's also space on the side lanes, which means the Toro got to catch up a bit. He's not the one getting ganked or killed by the calling here. Very happy with that. Ace not able to force him off lane yet. However, Game doing a bit of stacking of their own, and maybe that's something they took out of that game one, right? Like, you go in game one, you try and run Spirit over. Instead, they run you over. Okay, this is not a team we're going to beat in 20 minutes. Not a team we're going to beat in 25. Maybe we go back to some of our other tricks, other things up our sleeve, like the efficiency on the map. Yeah, this is a team that has stacked their whole way through the season. Going back to it now when it matters.
And a particular strength of Western Europe in general. So I love those DPC matches throughout the year. Stacking was a big factor for all of those teams. Ace, he does have the reincarnation here, but it looks like Team Spirit want to try and burn it away from him. The Skeletons will push back, though, while Projo is chased away.
Brother against brother here. Whose skeletons are better?
Well, right now, it's going to be Quinn trying to jump in, but immediately stopped by Laurel. Once again, with the counter initiation, Quinn's trying to get out of here, but he's going to be caught. The Inkswell plus the Silence is going to try and trample his way over the left-hand side, and he is slowed down, pulled back in by Collapse, though. Oh, and Agrosphere actually locking away these two other cores right in front of this tower. Seller's trying to stop him now as they turn back around onto Ace, trying to finish him up. There goes that reincarnation. Dyrachyo doesn't have much mana to work with, and on the fresh life, Ace is going to be pulled back underneath that tower again, just like Quinn. They are in trouble. Now Dyrachyo's under this one as well, surrounded by 5 heroes. He's going to start desperately morphing into strength and try and wait for him over the left-hand side, but with all of this damage, he just cannot get far enough away. Game and Gladiators will lose all 3 of their cores, and that attempt at a fight at bottom lane.
That is the danger of making an aggressive move into this Pangolier. Grimstroke, the turnaround potential is just so damn high, and time dilation absolutely ruined Dyrachyo as he goes in that engagement, gets time dilated, can't do anything for the rest of the fight. And of course, Quinn, he ate the big ults. Still trying to make something happen in this early game with a very aggressive mid that can do it. He's just struggling. His heroes have been too tanky for him to bring down alone, and the combinations, they haven't been exactly on point for gaming. This will give a really nice bump to Laurel, who is just feasting on these early game fights. It's going to be a very fast Pangolier defusal in this game. And these are some heroes that are susceptible to mana burn, right? You're looking at 2 strength cores and a Morphling that also doesn't like his mana getting burned with an early defusal. Back to clearing some stacks, and net worth still looking pretty good for gaming, but the fights are just not going their way.
Particularly when you know the Wraith King wants to rush this Radiance as quick as possible, which means an Ag Shard, he really doesn't want to have to buy that until at least after the Radiance. There's definitely a timing here where this Pango could punish Ace heavily.
Especially since it's just done. This is 11:30 Arcane Boost Defusal. This is crazy fast. In a game where they maybe expected Laurel to not have the freest time, right? Up against the Primal Beast with a Furion who can rotate.
They're supposed to shut him out early, win that lane, and then later on to the game, as a Primal Beast, you could just BKB and grab the Rolling Thunder ball and stop it immediately, right?
Look what's waiting for him. Some good old stacks for the Mag lineup. This is another downside of Gaimin not securing those early teamfight wins. You can't invade enemy side of the map this early, and Laurel's just going to clear through it all. Defusal going to help him. He's so big right now. He's got a shield rune to boot. So they're going to be looking to take a fight. It's also going to be the blink timing for Collapse. He's going to finish this off the stack. Just rush it out here. Look for a big blink RP skewer on a core. Continue to slow the pace down here. Spirit are going to be happy to use their ults for big core kills. So the question on game inside is, what do you do when those ults are on cooldown, right? How much can you get off the map? How much can you push the lanes and look for kills? Quinn once more looking for something to get his game going here. Just can't find anything.
Good read by Maposhka, dipping away into the trees there, out of sight from Quinn. And as a result, that's going to be yet another rotation that fails. One way or another, Gaming Gladiators, whether it's running into a 5-stack of Team Spirits and they lose the fight, or the smoke's just not working out for them, so much of their early aggression with this Primal Beast has been completely stymied, and now Team Spirits are sitting in a pretty happy position, I would say. The net worth is dead even. But it does feel like Team Spirit have answered Gaming Gladiators and all the moves they wanted to make early.
I mean, there's a lot of Magnus teams over the history of TI. I think all of them will say, if you are even at the 15-minute mark with a Mag lineup, you're winning the game. Like, you're happy because you know this game is going to get extended. You're going to outfarm the enemy. You're going to, in theory, outscale them. Now, a lot can happen in those fights, and this lineup from Gaming can scale very hard. We've seen Primal Beast go very deep in these later games.
One stun, into follow-up silence,
of course,
too many heroes.
That can also happen.
Yeah, this is the move the Gaming Gladiators, they were trying to play off this, being able to get numbers movement, right? Like the Primal Beast and the Nature's Prophet offer so much mobility around the map. They should be able to outnumber Team Spirit and find openings like that.
It's what Celery wants to do for sure. Every time you get one of these pickoffs with the Furon, you get to farm their side of the map, you get deep wards up, it's going to set up for your next play, and then your economy is just going to explode. And you get some extra items on this Fury, and he can control the fight. The Ags, very good this game with the root and disarm, right? This is a great Fury on Ags game. Wrath of Nature's going to do some mad work here. If he can get anything else to help his team survive in the Chrono, in the RP, Celery's going to be a force to be reckoned with, and he can continue to shove these waves in as well. And Spirit continue to play this game slow, continue to farm up Laurel with their Empower going to work. That is a successful move for Gaming in a period where Collapse didn't really find that opening with the Blink. We'll have to settle for some farm.
Find it interesting, there's no hand of Midases in this game. Wraith King, Faceless Void, both heroes that have bought it throughout this tournament sometimes, but feels like as the tournament's gone on, particularly probably because the way the Gaming Gladiators have stomped through some games, there are teams who've been a bit wary about picking up that greedy item.
Midas is a crutch item, let's be honest. Now, Midas is an item for, you know, the bottom 14 teams. It's not really a grand finals item. You know, you gotta, if you're worthy of a true Pantheon, then you don't need the extra GPM. You're gonna collect it off your enemies here. See, that is Labs can do that. He's still trying to find something with his Blink, or maybe he's just happy empowering his other cores and letting them take the bulk of the net worth. Yatoro still pretty much untouched during this period. He's just going Mask of Madness into the Maelstrom, Empower on top of it. I mean, this Void is going to keep up and farm, even with a Radiant Skeleton King. Am I allowed to say that? Farming up the entire map. He will match him.
Oh, Laurel? It's essentially there to grab him. Mira can stop some of this, though. Throws out in silence. Thinks well. Oh, so much burst damage, though. Celery hit him big with that one. He got the shield crash, though.
No way.
Those shields are keeping him alive. They need a bit more damage, but now he's TPing away. Goodbye. Oh, no. Gaming Gladiators got to feel so bad about that. A pickoff on Laurel, the highest net worth in this game, would have been a dream opening for them. And that was one of the few openings he'll have against this guy because he is closing in on the Lincolns fast.
Just not crisp enough. Laurel walks it off. I think he even misclicked his swashbuckle there.
Dyrachyo on the edge of the Chronosphere. Now that's an idea. Team Spirit said, oh, used all those resources bottom lane, huh? It'd be a shame if your carry got picked off, wouldn't it?
A heavy cost indeed to missing this gank, as Laurel just plays with his food, and they're going to put those ults to use on Dyrachyo every time. Anytime you can just collect the Morphling in this game, you're super happy about it. Yatoro will just continue to farm. Says, give me the freebie and back to the jungle. It's coming down to Ace right now, right? I mean, it feels like it comes down to Ace in a lot of games, but yeah, particularly right now, he's the strongest hero on the map. He can create the pressure. He can do things like this where he just solo create an opportunity. They're going to find both supports. Ace will walk it off.
Yeah, he's got to back away. They showed so many heroes up there killing Maposhka earlier. Maposhka, again, continued to play very aggressively. I mean, the Treant Protector, he was on Gaming Gladiator side of the map all the time because he was invisible, but this Enchantress seems to have a similar game plan. He's going to be playing up in Gaming Gladiator's face, and that does, even if it costs him a death every once in a while, it does create information and space for his cores.
Particularly when the Chrono and the RP are down.
Yeah.
This is where Gaming can pretty much run the game to the map, choose which objective they want, and claim it for free. There's no way you're fighting them without those big ults off cooldown, or without Collapse being stronger. Skewer on Skewer play. You're coming with me.
Up into the TP point from Quinn. Collapse, as long as he keeps the damage on him, he's not going to be able to blink away, and Quinn will finish the job. Great move from Dyrachyo. Those are the kind of plays you need to see here. If you want to be able to take down the best team at this tournament, you need to be able to pull off some solo moves like that.
And create the pressure that's going to create openings elsewhere. And suddenly Dyrachyo, this stolen Empower is pretty damn nice. He can throw it on the Wraith King, he can throw it on the Primal, especially bonus damage on Primal. Quinn is going to be very happy with that. That is something we can see in a lot of these fights. Probably going to be the best steal for Dyrachyo outside of maybe time dilation thrown back against Team Spirit, or just creating his own Grimstroke combination. These are good Morphling combos you can use for the fights and the team. Quinn starting to pick up the pace and
instantly silenced, and a beautiful soul bite, and now an ink swelled up pinball coming through straight into the heart of Gaming Gladiators. Dyrachio's already burned out of most of his mana, pops his wand, but Dyrachio, he needs to be able to get away from both Wall and Yatoro, and he's been burned out. No chance there. Gaming Gladiators still have a chance, though, to be able to fight back around Ace and his Radiance, but without their carry, it's not looking great, as Ace is going to be burned out of his first life. Can they fight around this second one? Quinn's sticking around. They certainly don't want to be giving up Ace like this. Here's shot back.
Coming up in 2 seconds here. Yeah, Yatoro says, my cooldown's back. Can push this. Just not enough reach.
Not necessary, really, for Team Spirit, right? No reason to give them an opportunity like that. You could stretch out, claim all of this map space you've just fought for, and farm away.
No, I do think this late game is not 100% right. Like, we're talking about Mag Void. It is very powerful. You're going to get some pickoffs like this for sure, and Empower is going to clean up the map. But there's like some weird things that can happen with Wraith King Ags. There's some weird things that happen if Dyrachio gets a free angle in the fight and can like clean up the backline with Morphling first, Empower himself, you know, Grimstroke Swell himself.
Yep. It's going to be tier 1 down in the bottom lane as Laurel marches forward confidently with his Lincolns, because what's really going to catch him? It feels like he's most of the time going to have a chance to be able to escape if Gaming Gladiators ever try and jump him here.
It's a really fast Lincolns as well. This is Mag Pango in its prime. I think a hero that is not afraid to fight off cooldown.
They're really going to farming the Tormentor right in front of Gaming Gladiators' base. That is crazy, but they just did it. 4 heroes, that's all they needed. Meanwhile, Celery being gone on by Yatoro. He just gets a bit of a poke, gets a reaction out of Gaming Gladiators. Ace will try and punish him, but
just no follow-up.
Yeah, he needs a lot more. Celery's gonna try and chase up. The TPs are coming in here, tries to block him out with the Sprout, but Yatoro is running free. Dyrachio chases after him, hits him with the time dilation
really
though, but it is a very forced move from Dyrachio, but he gets it. He gets that kill, no, turns back around, on the collapse. Oh, RP'd right in front of that tier 2, but silenced up just in the nick of time before his skewer can come through.
He wants more.
Yeah, he does. He sees the opportunity. What a beautiful entrance from Dyrachio into this game.
That is the power of stolen time dilation plus the time walk, right? Infinite chase potential. Suddenly Faceless Void can't do the same back, and Dyrachio says 2 can play attacking Yatoro. I can get aggressive too and make it work. Just creates an opening out of nothing there off a chase that felt, you know, like what is Ace doing here? He's wasting his time? Not at all. Everything coming together. Gonna propel Celery up that board as well. Imagine you have that Ag's Wrath of Nature here, right? Suddenly chases like this become a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
And Yatoro, he's just still looking for that big Dispel item. His choice will be Manta first over the BKB, but until that's out, Dyrachio has a decent opening in these fights, and you got the RP out of that.
Yeah, it actually just leads Gaming Gladiators into more opportunities, perhaps.
That Axe. Finished for Celery if he can fly it out.
Okay.
So that is something that can bounce through, lock these heroes down. Great more openings for the Wraith King Primal to just get in there and set up that front line. Second Tormentor will go Team Spirit's way with the Shard.
So now they've got a Shard on both of their supports. That's pretty funny. I think that the Mira 1, Grimstroke, that's so much better for them. Hard Dispel to be able to help save this Pango or this Faceless Void when they need it most. But maybe there's just too much firepower some of these times. So you can see from Gaming Gladiators when their cores start linking up, and they're picking up the pace now. Dyrachio, he's just swarming forward, seeing if there's anybody else to be able to catch deep on Team Spirit's side of the map. And this is the part where Team Spirit needs to be able to slow down the game. The momentum is beginning to play against them.
This is where the map becomes difficult. You have Skeleton shoving in one wave, you have Wrath of Nature pushing all the lanes. The Morphling's not afraid to show right now. He has Manta Illusions on top of it. And the Primal, if he's in the fog, it creates a scary situation with the pickoff potential. They're just getting more information than Team Spirit right now. There are still very deep Observer wards that the potion got out, but you can't really get there and use them. And they're not scouting anything right now as everybody's on top of him.
That Shard is pretty helpful when it comes to the Sprouts, but it may not save him from this since he's going to be surrounded. He'll create a little bit more time, a little bit more space. In fact, he's going to go for the TP away, and there it is. Okay. They do manage to stop that. That would have hurt Gaming Gladiators a lot if they let him get away from that.
Solid space, I'm sure is what he'll say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Time to try and get to the Dispel item on Yatoro, as Collapse will finish Harpoon. So he can't really deal with time dilation in the fight if it comes out. This is a very aggressive item. He can lock people down, guarantee the skewer better. But if the fight starts on him, could backfire. And Quinn's still working towards that heart. So Gaiman looking for the next big damage items that are going to let them ramp this game up. And of course, Ace still sitting top at Pretty here. He's the big objective driver, so if he decides that they need to force tier 2 or go for Roshan, where they want to fight and how, it's up to Ace right now as he is the front line. Toro calling for a smoke, looking for some kind of pick-off here.
They get the right kind of opening, they could translate this into a quick roach take.
Exactly. They're looking at the corner of the map, so anybody that dies down here, Toro's instantly going to go in the pit. He might just do it anyway.
Yeah. Gaming Gladiators say they look inside, see if it's actually Gaiman who's taking that Roshan. That's going to be pretty tough to deal with, Toro. With that shard jumping around with Inkswell on top of him, so even if you catch him midway through his time walk and stop him from leaping back into play, there is that Dispel that can come out.
That's why you want to create a situation where he has to choose between chronoing the front line in the Heart Primal or, the Wraith King with 2 lives.
If they make this move fast enough, it could be massive for Gaming Gladiators. They have a double damage in Morphling's bottle, and if they can get to this fight in time, Team Spirit may get wiped and lose the Roshan fight, and they are not doing this fast enough. Gaming Gladiators are going to get here, and it looks like Team Spirit have made the right read. They're going to smoke, backing themselves away, see if they can find the opening on Gaming Gladiators.
Quinn has position, but there's a ward.
On the high ground, BKB immediately goes out. Now he has to turn and chase, but he's not going to be close enough. Team Spirit got something big out of him, but they do hit them all. That's going to be able to hit all those heroes. The RP does manage to lock down the 2 heroes. They jumped into the RP. Tarantu dies immediately. He's going to have to do all the damage from here on out, but the Rolling Thunder is dangerous. It slows him down with the bashes, and the Rolling Thunder hits, and there's no chance. And now they leave Quinn. Yeah, trap him inside that Chronosphere. His BKB is gone. Get the rest. Oh, it's Gaming Gladiators who had an opportunity there to be able to upset, but now just what they feared the most, which was losing a fight and giving the Roshan to Team Spirit. That may have just occurred.
It's going to switch the sides, so they're going to have to run up top. They might not have enough time before Gaming respond. I mean, you got to remember, they can TP to this dire outpost up here as well if they still have them on cooldown. But damn, what a heads-up RP from Collapse. That is a team fight salvaging RP as the Wrath of Nature just got them all on the backside, and Dilation was thrown out early here. So right there, it goes on Quinn, but that opens the fight for Dyrachyo by a decent margin. Just didn't, I don't know, I mean, he just RP'd him. There's no way around it.
Yeah, they only had 1 stun to work with. Dyrachyo just makes a complete misread of the situation there.
Maybe thought the stun was going to be longer, but there's a lot of bailout here, and the second that goes wrong on the Morphling, this fight's just completely over. Toro's going to clean house. You cannot give too many of these openings. The upside, though, like we said, is this Roshan switch sides, and the respawn timers were not too long here, so Dire side going to work for Gaiman as they come back into this map and stall out the Rosh a second time. I think you just man up for it here because you know RP and Chrono are on cooldown.
Yeah, 100%. And Team Spirit, I mean, it would be a pretty bold move to try and take this fight without their ultimates.
No, they're just looking for the pickoff. They're not going to find it, clear the wave, but this contest, it's all on Laurel with the Rolling Thunder. Maybe they can take the fight afterwards.
He's thinking about going in with this Inkswell. He tries to jump in, see if they can get the skewer pick off. No such luck. Gaming Gladiators retreat very defensively after claiming that Aegis. They know Team Spirit are bold enough to make a move like that. They respect it. They'll back away. Dyrachyo will try and get his farm into the Silver Edge, which is a great way to be able to find some of those backline heroes. I mean, I think that Grimstroke is a big problem for them.
It is. The Link and the Dispel off the Swell are both really nice here, especially when you just throw the Cell onto the Faceless Void or the Magnus. They get a free jump, and if they get stunned, you just bail them out, right? I think we're going to see that the whole game. It's going to make sure that both Collapse and Yatoro can hold their BKBs or the Manta for as long as they want here, and Mira can bail them out. Of course, you can also just throw it on the Pango and let them roll in.
Yeah, speaking of the Pango, his item timing was definitely delayed quite a bit, but he's finally going to get there. He got that Linken's a while ago, but the Aghanim Scepter that he was looking for next will finally be complete.
Hurricane Pike for Miposhka. So the damage starting to heat up here for Spirit as they're going to spread it across 4 effective cores going into this late game. That is why they love the Enchantress. Miposhka is going to start to cause his own mischief in the fight. And that pushes the question back to Gaiman in terms of how are you scaling in this game, right? Because right now you have an Aegis, you have a Morphling pushing towards Silver Edge. Ace just hit his BKB timing here, and the Heart is a couple hundred off for Quinn. So you have some really strong fighting items coming out all in the same interval here for Gaiman. You would really like a good team fight out of this, especially if the Chrono or the RP gets wasted, or if you trade an Aegis for it, you might be okay with that in the long run. You can at least find something on the backside. Because right now, you're looking at Yatoro. He has a Manta. That's it. He did not go for a BKB on the Faceless Void this game. He's just hyping up the damage here, abusing the fact he has Empower. Gonna go for a later Lincoln Sphere, but it will be collapsed with that BKB. So it's a question of who do you want to start on? And maybe the Silver Edge is gonna give Dyrachyo the option to put his aggression to use and just start on a support, start on a core, give the Vision for a Wraith King jump. Vision means everything here for Gladiators as they try and take these next few fights.
Yeah, which means Miposhka is a particular nuisance to them, as he once again leads forward, just using the creep to be able to find information. They got the Harpoon, Skewer back. Now he does have BKB, locked down by the RP, but maybe the damage is going to be enough. It's going to be a close call. Gwyn starts walking away. Celery's going to jump in with the Wrath of Nature, soon coming out. He tries to use the Ogre Seal Totem to get away from the Rolling Thunder while they jump forward on Dyrachyo. They want to get something out of this. They see an opportunity, surely, but they couldn't actually grab anybody, just lacking the disables.
Glimmercape posing problems for Dyrachyo as well. He just can't see anything to hit. And Team Spirit able to disengage after that Wrath of Nature rooted them all, which means Yatoro wants to go back.
He's got an opening here. Looks for it with the Chronosphere. They were so grouped up on Gaming Gladiators, but he doesn't have the vision. He's now been grabbed.
He's been time dilated.
Disabled. They actually have that AoE. The calling goes out. He's on the other side. He actually gets away. Thanks well. Time Walk undoes so much of the damage. And now Gaming Gladiators have to play it a little bit slow. Have to respect that Soulbind. They cleanse themselves of the ghost. That silence is now gone. The Soulbind is away.
Oh,
Yatoro, he's still waiting for his opportunity to get that Chrono. He got 3. Down 2, 3. 1 in the back, 2 in the front, and that's going to be the Aegis down for the Morph, like a second life for both him and Ace, though. Can Yatoro fight through this one? Is he going to be able to get away? The shot cut through, the entangle as well. That's enough. They bring down the carry. Now for the rest, Team Spirit. Playing back into this one, the Inkswell, now Skewer, locking them together. Laurel, maybe he can fight this one out. Dyrachyo, waveforms over it, trying to separate from his team a little bit, make sure this swashbuckle doesn't utterly decimate them like it does Tofu. In the back lines, Ace trying to chase down Dyrachyo, help him out, but Dyrachyo dies. As Laurel, he does manage to finish him off just on the very tip. Just to be able to get that kill before he falls. Collapse tries to Skewer away, but locked down by Gwyn in the end.
Cannot escape the inevitable, which is just too many lives on the side of game. And a buyback from Celery gets another Wrath of Nature through. That fight lasted so damn long. And of course, you had the Aegis on Dyrachyo, the Reincarn on Ace, and Quinn just abusing this heart regen on the backside of that fight. The Chrono was absolutely beautiful.
And did you say buyback on Celery?
3 lives.
3 lives? Yeah. Game of Gladiators just brought more numbers than Team Spirit could possibly even dream of.
It's like an 8-on-5 here, right?
Yeah.
So you kill 3 or 2.5 in the Chrono, you're going to take Ace on the other side. Then they're all coming back. I mean, that's exactly what you want to use this Aegis and Reincarnation for. Create a situation where you set the fight up towards the end, the ults are on cooldown, and you just get an even man fight. And that is when Dyrachyo can start to clean house. This Morphling, he does some serious DPS, but damn were those Inkswells a problem. They were catching so many heroes. Collapse gets to survive the entire fight, just right-clicking people the entire time. And I thought Laurel was maybe going to carry the end of this. Pango is doing so much DPS.
Yeah.
But
him and Collapse, I think, saved so much of this fight, because if Dyrachyo managed to live through it, then who knows how much damage they do while Team Spirit is dead. But the fact that Morphling is gone, there goes a decent amount of their pushing power and threat for the high ground. Instead, it's the Furion and the Skeletons that push out.
It'll be Ace who collects it, and this Wraith King is just turning into a straight carry right now. This is not even a bad carry matchup versus the Faceless Void.
Yeah.
If you have help to do it. It's just going to be an AC for Ace here. Shard to boot, so you cannot mana burn him out, and he's going to be a problem. He's going to deal enough damage, create enough threat that you're going to have to think about him first, or at least maybe skewer him in deep, take him out for free, and think about when you commit the Chrono or the RP, because it's not so straightforward anymore. You can play off some Pangolier pokes, but the damage in the front line is coming through for Gaimin right now, and a lot of it does come down to Dyrachyo. How does he find the angle into the fight? Who does he start on? And does he get caught in those ultimates? Because this Morphling is still incredibly susceptible to time dilation post Manta. He's susceptible to just getting ulted without that morph going out. If that happens, so much of your DPS goes out the window. Suddenly that long fight is no longer favorable for you.
It's so wild to me how much Yatoro trusts his team in this situation. I feel like so many other carries, especially carries in this tournament, would have gone for a BKB to help protect themselves, but he seems to just fully trust that Mira is going to be able to back him up, right?
I mean, you think Yatoro God is going to buy a BKB. Haven't been watching this man.
He's going to go for Scotty up next, which is going to make him very tanky. Gaming Gladiators may not let him get to this point. Smoked for very, very far forward here.
Yeah, Radiance turned off for Ace. They're not showing too much on these waves.
They wanted something so badly out of that. They used double scans to try and find some sort of pickoff, but they're left with nothing. Team Spirit holding around their tier 2.
They saw something on that ward, and they'll counter smoke it instead. They're missing the Scotty from Yatoro. Big item versus Morphling, but he's happy to fight without it. Treants, we'll see nothing. How closely were you looking at the body blocks here? And Aegis could depend on it, as they will bypass the vision mechanisms. Level 20 for Yatoro. He has chrono attack speed here, plus this full Mjolnir. You get caught in this chrono, it's a very different story than the last fight. How much room are you willing to give up right now?
That charge, they spot Celery. Chronosphere on the 2 of them. So he's going to bring down the support first. Nice use of the dead shot there. That'll make sure Ace doesn't get punished too much. But Chronosphere for a 5 position. I don't think Gaming Gladiators mind that too much, as long as they don't lose control of the Roshan pit during this window.
The upside is that buyback's still on cooldown for Celery. So they know they're getting the 4v5 out of that if they take down the Furion first. There's no way you're committing for the Wraith King there. Dead shot will prevent it anyway. Another quick pickoff for Yatoro. More gold into his pocket. Will finish up the Scotty.
Now, what about this next part of this matchup? The Wraith King versus the Faceless Void, especially this Wraith King off lane, always going to be going the Aghanim Scepter at some point in time. That Aghanim Scepter is pretty interesting against the burst that Yatoro wants to be able to employ, right? He wants to Chronosphere, make sure that there's one hero or maybe 2 that gets no impact in the fight, just like it looks like Quinn. Ooh, he barely gets off that, but he is going to be slowed down as soon as the BKB is worn away. The time dilation kicks into play, and yeah, Team Spirit have caught him.
Just good vision on the map. Lets it set up for this kill. And just as he was pushing towards that Aghanim Scepter, you're talking about the Wraith King, as the Primal Axe will also play a big part in these fights, just breaking these heroes down, removing some of the passives, letting them get easy kills on things like the Enchantress, removing some of the time lock from the Faceless Void. Any extra bit you can gain an advantage for Daracho in these man fights is going to be nice, but I mean, the Wraith King Axe is great versus the ults. It's just a question of, can you do anything with like the 5 seconds you have afterwards, right? Daracho gonna man up.
They're gonna jump onto this Faceless Void, see if they can burst him down. Once again, there's that Inkswell Heart Dispel into the time walk and attempts. Climbs, turns around, gets that RP on the 2 of them, locking down Daracho and finishing him off. And now Ace is gonna come back into this with not much support. With no Quinn, they knew they had the numbers advantage, and they take the fight into Gaming Gladiators no matter the cost. He gets a jump away. Force Staff helps him out, but it's not far enough. There is nowhere you can go. The collapsing Yatoro cannot follow.
That is a very bold move. When your Primal is dead, he's so much of your damage, so much of your burst damage. I mean, again, they're very close to bursting Yatoro, but the man knows his limits. Elvin
Tofu! Yeah! A shot from downtown claims the life of Yatoro.
Just as I caster curse the hell out of him, he gets shot down. Well, the man knows his limits, but I guess not every limit in Dota. The Tormentors are new, we'll cut him some slack, but what a find from Tofu. Just claims it all there, and now the Tormentor did go to Radiant, so they get the kill on Yatoro. Collapse gets the shard. That's a 1,500 gold kill.
Yeah, that's the final shard, by the way. Team Spirit, 36 minutes in, have all the shards for their team because they've claimed every single Tormentor. This is crazy.
Of course, the Chrono was off cooldown, so you're going to have some downtime for Yatoro where he would have liked to have been up on the map and used it. Surprised it burst him hard. He must have like time lock hit the Tormentor. I mean, at least he can laugh it off here because there's nothing else you can do.
Back into the game though, they still don't have Ace. They're still looking forward with this smoke.
There's a hesitant out Yatoro?
Yeah, this is I'm surprised Gaming Gladiators. They're surprised that they're even out here.
What the hell is this move?
Up on the high ground.
Oh,
he doesn't have a TP. Where are you, Quinn? He's going to be able to get a force out down to the low ground, but that was an opportunity to get the pick off, and instead it's Collapse who finds the pick off. Another Ogre Seal Totem for Celery, trying to keep him alive. Bump back in. Oh, the swashbuckle just barely outside of the range there, and they do.
And Yatoro's
back into it. Darachi will be the first one down. Quinn, he has BKB. Can he get it off? No, too many stuns.
This damage is ramped up so damn fast.
Collapse got him on the Inkswell.
Yatoro says, you had your fun, you had your cliff walk, but I'm here to clean it up.
And Ace Trying to get away desperately. Blink is up. He will get out. Yes. Oh, they got a scan on him.
Yeah, turn that radiance off, son. You need to get the hell out of
You
there.
gotta hide. You gotta hide. You can't be farming right now. There's that shard. Collapse pulls him back in a little bit. No harpoon just yet, though. So he couldn't get him any further.
Yatoro knows what he wants right now, and that is an Aegis. That is a Roshan fight the game could have just committed to. It's also a fight that 30 seconds of it had no Yatoro. They couldn't find anything. They found an inch off of double dive between the Morphling and the Primal Beast, and that's it. Team Spirit just way too good at kiting these fights out, not giving you an opening. That Hurricane Pike did some serious work. Sent Quinn back to NA with his pal Arteezy stuck up there. But what else are you supposed to do? You have to find the openings. You have to dive. You only had 20 seconds without Yatoro. Just none of it went your way, and now it's going to be an Aegis into his pocket, a cheese on the back, and I guess everybody can buy BKB at some point. It'll be his next item here at last to seal the deal.
He really wanted to save that double damage rune for Laurel or for Yatoro, but little Treant will deny them that opportunity. Still, though, Team Spirit got to feel very good about this next 4 minutes. They've been winning a lot of team fights lately with that extra life on Yatoro. He's already been very aggressive, leading a lot of the charges for Team Spirit, giving information to Collapse to follow it up. And the second life, I feel like there is nothing to stop this man.
No, if you get caught in the corner, you're gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. Even if you're morphing, I mean, who cares, right? The second you come out of it, you're basically dead. His Ags from Celery can only do so much, and suddenly the lanes are not getting pushed in as deep as they once were because this Empower is just going to work on these cores. They're just mopping it up. At this point, the Skeletons and the Treants are just extra gold into their pocket. We're looking at 440 CS for Yatoro right now. Just cleaning up these lanes. 500 for Laurel, by the way, who's been swashbuckling what feels like the entire map. Still having a tremendous game here on the Pangolier.
He is.
And look at the difference in the last hits, man. I mean, that is what Empower does. That's what an early Mask of Madness into the Maelstrom does, but it's also all these summons going down the lanes. So it's inflated a bit, but that's extra gold. And now Miro with an Ags. This is a great Dark Torture game, right? And these soul lines have been landing. There's not a lot to block them. You get the Wraith King, you get that aura going back. It's a great illusion. You get the Morphling, you're gonna clear house on the back line. So suddenly the scale from Team Spirit is starting to pick up the pace on their supports, and these are scary ones.
RP straight up in the top lane. He got caught trying to hit that tier 2. You can get nothing for free against Team Spirit. Collapse denies Duraccio that opportunity. Duraccio compliments on the initiation, but the damage is done. Gaming Gladiators, without their carry for 70 seconds, there's going to be some serious damage coming their way.
That just feels like a move it's based on pressure, right? They feel like this game is slipping away from them. They feel like the scale is going to be insurmountable. Duraccio trying to make something happen on the map and find a tier 2. Instead, he will pay the price only for an RP in exchange, which is going to be up pretty much when he's back up. How much do you want to push with this Aegis right now? Level 25 on the Faceless Void already. He already has the backtrack talent. Just going to make that burst even harder. And Yatoro says, this is enough farming. I want to end this game. I want to end it now. How much do you have to take the fight on your high ground?
Look at them. They're just trying to catch whatever they can in the side lanes because, well, you don't have a carry, so there's not much point in acting like you're going to defend this mid lane.
You just have to use Ace's strength. You have to find a way to use this Wraith King Ags and the Radiance Burn. Get something going in the fight over the long duration. That's where the Pangolier shines. And I mean, Laurel hasn't even had to jump in aggressively yet. He's just playing behind his other cores.
Yeah.
Be a free lane of racks here. They're going to go for number 2. Duraccio, 3 seconds on the spawn. Butterfly completed for Yatoro now. No MKB in sight. You're going to have to do this the hard way. Just charge in and hope it goes your direction.
Checking it out, seeing who's TPing in. Toro with the Lincolns. He's got an extra life. He's got a BKB in his backpack for that second life.
Oh,
and they got an opportunity from Collapse. Pulled Celery out of position. All right. Duraccio going to try and use that Faceless Void form to be able to help out Blood. The Chronosphere goes into work. The Gold Scepter not actually grabbing the real one. Yatoro's still up, and he finishes off the Morphling so easily. Now the RP gets the other 2 cores. Team Spirit so clean. The extra ghosts come out from the Wraith King, but doesn't really do anything. Ace just pops his BKB on the second life. They do manage to get another pick here on his Celeries. He tries to jump forward. They've got nothing left in the tank on Gaming Gladiators. They are all going to fall. They're going to throw their damage around. The Chief's actually getting caught. Collapse got a little bit low, but into the fountain Laurel goes. A rampage, maybe a double? No, Tofu's going to deny him that. They're going to call it GG. Unless pulled back in.
No, this one is
a second rampage to finally close it off.
I mean, why not add to his total, right? This is the player with the most rampages in a single TI run in history, and he will add some more to the stat page here as Jatoro just mops him up at the end with way too much damage. And once more, Gaming are sitting here thinking, what the hell are we supposed to do against this team? We can't outpace him, we can't push him, we can't outscale him. We're having troubles in the team fights, we're losing the towers first. This man's playing Faceless Void in a meta where no one else was really willing.
He got you on the Weaver, he got you on the Faceless Void. Team Spirit got you on the Pango on both sides. They defeated the Pango, and Laurel took it into his own hands. I mean, there was so much in that early game where Laurel, he was controlling so much of the tempo, and he knows it too. And the crowd knows it too. They're going to thank Team Spirit for an excellent performance in this game too, but it might be a fast closeout to the night the way Team Spirit looks utterly unstoppable.
They are speedrunning this grand final right now, and the scary part is at 30 minutes, Gaimin had a lead in that game. That game was not some super one-sided net worth stomp, even with a Magnus Void farming it up. It's just, it felt inevitable, right? Like, how are you taking these late game fights, even with Wraith King Ags, you're respawning just to watch the corpses of your teammates fall right where you were. There's no real burst, there's no real push tempo here.
Yeah.
Nothing going their way in that game too.
Well, they at least were able to even out the net worth a little bit. There have to be small things that went the way of Gaming Gladiators. Are there any highlights you can point to?
I mean, I think the laning phase was a bit better for them, but the point in their laning phase that they wanted to work the most, that I feel has worked for them all year, has been Quinn on mid. And that lane was the one that felt a little lackluster to me, right? The Primal Beast had a very slow start. He didn't get to use the power runes. It all has to come together. If you're going to beat this Team Spirit team in a grand final at TI, you need to pull out all of your tricks, get all the cylinders firing, and make it synergize at its peak.
They have played so many games, having to go through the lower bracket the entire time. Does Gaming Gladiators have anything left in the tank? Back to the panel.
Thank you very much, Cap and SVG. We'll find that answer in game number 3, because right now, Team Spirit is on match point, one more game away from being crowned a second time TI champion. And what a game they did it on here. It was a very back and forth, a lot of fights in this one. We have a little bit of a change on the panel. Stormer, welcome, joining us as well. I want to dive right into it. What did you make of this game?
Thank you, Shearer. Yeah, I mean, this game was actually quite a treat to watch for a long time. I think there was some really, really cool plays coming up from both sides. I think Laurel played exceptionally well on his Pangolier. Like, there was like some situation where they went on with 3 heroes and he just barely got out. I think he carried the game on his, the team on his back for quite some time until Yatoro and Kodavs caught up. But yeah, well, definitely a treat to watch.
Yeah, I mean, for Lau at least, in regards to net worth, I think I saw a tweet from Noxel where it's like it's the 5th highest net worth of any Pangolier on LAN, and it's like he had Diffusal, he had links like pre-20 minutes, and just it was just an incredible start. He
was so farmed.
Yeah, so farmed.
And it is really hard to top the net worth leaderboards as a Pangolier, right? You usually never see that happen, but it's also due to the Magnus that they were able to play around. They had 3 melee cores with a Magnus, and when the game stagnated, they were just collecting that net worth lead. Every time that Gaimin weren't making any moves or any plays, that benefited Team Spirit entirely. So if you're playing this game to scale, all of a sudden, Team Spirit, they've got the superior team fight, right? They've got the Chronosphere, they've got the Rolling Thunder, they've got the RP, so it made it so that Gaming Gladiators couldn't ever really look for those fights later on as the net worth lead was built up.
Yeah, it felt like at some point both teams wanted to look for the fights. Both teams were ready to fight, but you only want to really fight when you know you have the advantage. And I think, T, that led to some pretty quite cool. But that's some pretty surprising locations where fights were actually happening, because we had both teams trying to surprise the enemy team in final locations.
Yeah, it happened a lot. You had in the bot side of the map, you had like this awkward Roshan where Spirit started it, but they weren't strong enough, and then they baited out with the fight. And then we had a pick off onto Primal, and then it's near a Tormentor where the Poshka's just free farming top lane, hitting a tower, and then the rest of Spirit's just slaughtering the entirety of Gaming Gladiators. So I feel like this entire game was Gaming trying to construct a fight where they could survive the big spells, while Spirit was always chasing, oh look, we have our spells available, let's just win every single fight, because we know if we have the Chrono, if we have the RP, we're going to hit these big spells and just crush every single engagement.
Yeah, and it's hard because they didn't really have that overwhelming teamfight ability on Gaimin, because even when they did have that Aegis on Morphling, they couldn't really ever make anything happen. The fight that they did finally manage to force versus Spirit when Morphling had the Aegis, and they tried to burst the Faceless Void, they couldn't, he time walks away, he chronos. They end up killing the Void in the end, but they didn't really get much in return. I mean, they traded off one of their heroes, everyone else disengaged, and they couldn't turn that winning fight when they got the Void down into anything because they committed too much and they didn't get enough back, and that really was the story of the game.
Yeah, it really, really was, and I feel like we saw Team Spirit. You know, okay, so for people that have been following their vlogs, they have a lot of them. They show a lot of their in-game communication of their vlogs, and those fights that we see them take here on the TI stage, they seem very calm and collected. Stormer, there's like, oh, guys, I killed that dude. Yeah, oh, I got stunned, used my ultimate. Oh, you used this whole... It's like they're, you know, like you're walking in a park, it's like, oh, bird. You know, nice tree. It's literally very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely what you want to stray for as well. I think it's also something that Team Tundra was exceptionally good at when they won TI last year. It just shows that you're confident in what you're saying. You're not over emotional about things. And also, what I love about this team is that even if they die, you can see smiles in their face.
Yeah.
You know, like this Yatoro, he's dying at the Tormentor. You might think like, oh, I just fed 2k cold to Tofu, but then he's just smiling, you know. And all the team, like, I think they're having such a great time right now, which makes it look even scarier to beat this team. And I think it's worth so much that, like, no matter what is happening, they're keeping a calm head. And this calm communication that you said, like, I think is really, really good to point out, because it just shows that they're really focused, really in zone about the most important things. You don't over communicate. You don't talk louder to make sure your voice is being heard. Everybody's on the same level.
Yeah, and combine that with the fun they are happening at the same time, and that is a skill.
I think they have like the perfect balance, honestly. And together that with how good they play Dota right now, this team is just really scary.
It is really scary. I bet the whole team was having a lot of fun actually in one particular moment, and we talked about it a couple times already. You've seen it in the highlights as well. The great escape from Laurel. Purge is going to talk about it now too.
Thank you, Shiver. Yeah, the Pango survive was very, very important for Gaming Gladiator, or for Team Spirit, because he had the most net worth on his team. If he gets killed, it's a big comeback momentum potential for Gaming Gladiators. They spotted him farming up above. They saw his Invis rune, so they placed the sentry now, and they are looking to chain disable him here. Now, the AoE, the remnant here for Tofu, it does a little circular thing, and every ghost that passes through him is going to silence him. And if they can chain disable him, it's a really, really crucial kill here. But unfortunately, the Primal Beast charge is going to push him back outside of the radius of this next coming ghost. That means the second silence doesn't hit. The pushback does, but he's disabled still in this very moment, and he gets pushed slightly to the left here by the Fear. Now, before Pango's ability here, this one, the roll thing, whatever it's called, it used to give damage reduction. Now it gives you a barrier. So because there's 3 heroes, he gets 600 HP from this, which buys him time to survive. And one other moment that was really, really cool here, because he was in trouble and Mir was on the right, he puts Inkswell on him. It's this little animation. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in this clip. The Inkswell on him, he pops this the moment before he dies. If he doesn't do this, Celery here on the Nature's Prophet attacks him one time. A second auto attack would have killed him, but because these two guys were stunned, he ends up surviving. All these things going together to keep Laura alive, keep his net worth high, and waste Gaming Gladiators' time on the map. Just an incredibly important moment.
An incredibly important moment for sure, and I bet there were a lot of people in the crowd cheering. I know in the green room people are like, oh my god, he got away from that one, and I think a lot of people around the world and all the different versions that people are watching Dota, we have had people cheering them on. This is from Chicago, where the vibes and the atmosphere is definitely very high. We'll see if we can get a Pudge on stage. I don't know, maybe not today here, but we can only hope. It was very dominant towards the end, of course, from Team Spirit, but it was at the start of the game incredibly back and forth. We heard our drafting panel say the first 7 minutes are going to be really important. That's what the coach said as well, and Gaming Gladiator survived that, and it looked okay. They couldn't get that final push to get the advantage, and that is something that they're surely going to work on for the next game, which is coming your way very soon. This particular point, though, T, it's all or nothing right now. They're 2 games down. Gaming Gladiators has been in this situation before, but that was an online tournament. This is very different.
It is, and I'm going to just say that I don't want to see Morphling. You know, this hero is Arteezy, got eliminated with it. Nightfall, got eliminated with it. Now the Ratio wants to play it, and he lost game 2. Like this hero, it's the bane of these lower bracket teams' life, and unfortunately, I don't think it's the one that you want to bring out when your life's on the line.
Well, you know, I can only imagine they're going to have something different planned that they have to have. And while they're planning that, we are going to see where Casey is hiding. I think she's in the crowd somewhere. Where are you, Casey?
I'm way up here. I'm sorry, I'm turning away from the camera. I'm way up here. How's everybody doing? Okay, so usually, as I move my cord out, I'm such a professional. Usually when we ask people, is this your first TI? We get a lot of, yeah, it's my first TI. I got a very different answer when I came up here. How many have you been to?
You know, I'm not sure. 14, 15, 16. Went to Canada was the last one, and now I'm back, so I'm super excited.
And the 3 of you have been to most of those together? A couple?
I would say like half of them, all the Seattle ones.
I soloed in Canada.
I've been to 2. This one, and I think 2017.
And then we were talking just a few minutes ago about the way that this grand final is going, and you heard Shiver say, like, this is do or die, game 3. How is everybody feeling? You, sir, are feeling very well. Want to tell everybody why?
I bet on Team Spirit on the compendium. So.
I'm sorry, what is wrong with this crowd that, like, 3 of you are like, yay. Okay, I want to hear from the Gaming Gladiators. Wow. I think this section can do better. All right, I want to hear you as loud. Do you see? Now, this is what Slack should do when he starts talking louder. You hold the microphone further away, like this. All right, come on up the rafters. Let's hear it. I'm going to have my amazing photographer, Phil, spin around and show you how great this view is from up here. You were saying this is like the best seats in the house, right?
Been here for 3 days.
Best seats in the house.
Nice. Oh, I hear a cheer starting. 3 people. All right.
Thank you very much, Casey. I mean, that does look magical. I will say that is definitely one of the better seats in the house, although I must say, there's a lot of good seats. The screens are fantastic. The Dota has been fantastic, but I'm going to show a little bias here. I would really like this series to not be a 3-0, so I'm rooting for Gaming Gladiators in the next one. And I know all of you want more Dota 2 coming into the Climate Pledge Arena here tonight. And I want to know from my panel, Stormstormer, what does Gaming Gladiators need to do?
I mean, I think, first of all, don't let it get to your head. I think they are respecting Team Spirit maybe a little bit too much as well. They're not showing the same Gaming Gladiator support that they showed the entire lower bracket run. You have to remember, this team started in lower bracket and now beat how many teams? 6, 7 teams in a row to get here. I just think they have to get Spirit out of their head and just focus on their own Dota again. Maybe adjust the drafting a little bit and then just, you know, keep the ball rolling again. Get back to your seat.
Get back to your seat. I think everybody should get back to their seats right about now because, ladies and gentlemen, we want some more Dota to be played. We have got Team Spirit 2 games up. Can Gaming Gladiators push them back? Ladies and gentlemen, Team Spirit, Gaming Gladiators, game number 3 of this best of 5 grand finals here. But Team Spirit, 2 games up. Gaming Gladiators need all the help they can get right now, and that means every single person in this Climate Pledge Arena. We need you to be extra loud. I know you've been saving your voice for game number 5, but come on! You need to get there first, so I want to have no voices left by the end of this one. I know a lot of people have already spent everything they had, but I know we got to need a little bit more coming out for game number 3. We know they can do it. They've been in grand finals so many times. Every single LAN event this year in the DPC, Gaming Gladiators has come out on top. Team Spirit, they started really clicking at Re-Up Masters, and they have not dropped the ball since.
And the fact that they're coming into this grand finals, that like each draft is completely different. In game 1, Weaver, Beastmaster, they swarm the map, they're the aggressors. Game 2, they got big cooldowns, Magnus, Void, like being the team down 2-0 and having to try and work out how do we deal with aggression, how do we deal with the scaling. Like you don't know what's going to come at you in this third game. So for gaming, it's not about team spirit at this point, it's about what can they bring themselves. What is their draft to get them through the laning phase and set themselves up a game that they can actually dictate. Because right now, they're just victim to team spirit 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
But also, I just want to have Storm elaborate a little bit more on what he was talking about when he said they need to get spirit out of their heads. And how do you feel like that? What does that mean when you say that the enemy team is in your head? Are you drafting differently? Are you playing differently? Can you speak to it from your personal experience?
Yes, I think both of it. I think like first of all their gaming players should just play the heroes that they're most comfortable with. That they don't like, for example, draft heroes because they want to block pick them from the enemy team or stuff like that. They should just play their own game, regardless of who they're playing against. And I know that some players are gaming like it is good to have healthy respect towards the enemy team on Team Spirit, but I don't think it should like affect your own gameplay too much. You should respect what the enemy team is doing. You should know their strengths and weaknesses, but it should not cause yourself to have more weaknesses, if that makes sense. Just basically reset. Don't care who you play against. Remember all the games that got you to this point, got you through the entire lower bracket to this game 3, and make it like a home run again. Gotta remember as well, Team Spirit, when they won TI10 back then, right, they were also 2 games ahead, and then it still went to a 5-game series against PSG LGD back then. So this is not over yet whatsoever, and I hope Gaming Gladiators also have that in their head right now, that like, you know, it's maybe a longer day for them as well. They also have to play the lower bracket finals against I forgot just now. Bad memory.
LGD.
LGD? Okay, let's talk about LGD, right? And now they're here again, so it is a longer day for them, but I all just hope they, like, whatever it was, they got the energy running again, and they just go into it right now.
Yeah, we're gonna find now, can Gaming Gladiators force out the next game, or will Team Spirit be the 2-time champion? Now let's hear it for Game 3!
Team Spirit versus Gaming Gladiators. Grand Finals. Game 3.
Welcome back to the draft panel for game number 3, everybody. This is everything on the line for Gaming Gladiators. Down 0-2. Team Spirit have been crushing so far. Seems like they have all the answers. They have all the strategies that they need to become champions once again, just like back 2 years ago. What do you guys want to see Gaming Gladiators? I feel like I'm repeating myself after game number 1, but it really is the story here. How can Gaming Gladiators dig themselves out of this strategical hold they found themselves in?
Honestly, I thought their draft last game, they had a really good shot. I think they identified that they want to target a little bit more of non-Collapse heroes. They let Collapse go as Magnus, and I thought that it was not a bad idea. I don't think Collapse had the usual Magnus impact. Maybe he didn't need it, maybe it didn't get there. Toph was able to pick up an early Yule Scepter, but I think I just want them to do that, but there was a time where like they had the triple wave with Quinn. I want them to play even more for the mid pressure, because Laurel just, I don't know, the guy's too good. He had too good a game.
I would like Gladiators get back to the idea of super pressure, super tempo, crazy, super fast, super strong lanes. I think that potentially might work. Yeah, something like this, you need to risk at some point, right? You're 0-2, they definitely have it, like they definitely gave a very good fights in both games. Like both games they actually gave good fights, they had good lanes and stuff. Yeah, but this last game was rough to play after some point, because Void Magnus is just too strong, like when it's come to late game. So I hope this time maybe we just, you know, go super tempo.
I definitely agree with Dindy on that one. The way Gaming Gladiators got here was with that tempo, pushing the high ground. It felt like in that last game they kind of fell back. Like, we don't really want to do that. Instead, we're going to try and match you in the late game, pick up a Duraccio Morphling. And he played pretty amazing for the most part. Had a couple bad deaths, but overall, like, you're playing into how Team Spirit wants to play at that point. You're not really playing the game that got you into this grand finals in particular. So we'll see if they go ahead and do that. But the problem is, I think when you play against Team Spirit right now, there's like a triple threat here. It's like you have to deal with Collapse, which they've been trying to do through bans. And then I think what really leveled up Spirit is Laurel. He's just playing so good every game. And you see Quinn, he's normally taking control of the map. He's like making moves. He hasn't been able to in these last 2 games because Laurel's having a great laning stage. And of course, there's always Yatoro, who's you're going to pick the CK, but you don't even know if it's his. He's strategically taking away a lot of Duracio's heroes, making them feel a bit uncomfortable. So there's a lot of things they're doing a strategic level and in game that it's just really hard for gaming to address.
So what do you think, Gaming, if we want to see this early aggression from them, what is the first pick of the game? Do you just go for the celery end chain, or like, okay, full focus on early laning stage and putting that pressure? Your Chen was obviously banned that you've had a great success with in that macro strategy. Is the entry into CK even appealing to start off?
I think it's normally like a decent matchup for CK because he's actually one of the heroes that can kill Ench pretty easily when you bring her out position. But honestly, I sort of like that line of thought. I think at this tournament, they usually pick Ench with Weaver, just because it gives the Ench a really strong lane. Once you give Ench a strong lane, it can snowball to other lanes, you can leave it alone. But I don't mind that if they pick another strong carry with it.
Okay, there's the AA we were looking for in both of the previous games, and this time Gaming are going to bring it out. Does this fit the bill for you guys? Not a strong laner.
Not a strong laner, not a fast tempo hero, but it can buff really well like other heroes that you can have in the draft. Vortex is extremely strong, also shut down a lot of like fat heroes with Bayern, Heart of Tarask and stuff, so might see something. If you build up a strong like carry that fits A on lane, it can still be pretty strong lane.
Yeah, I think the hero, he just has a lot of range, so he keeps clicking, right? If the lane is stable and you get to just keep clicking your opponent, his lane's like not weak or anything. He's going to constantly harass on the region. I think generally what AA picks mean is that they want to play with their mid. Generally when you pick A, you pick some high damage mid and they just sort of run around together. You get stacks and then they play together. You get stacks, you get played together. And I think that's also something that we saw a lot from Gladiators in this tournament is they would play a lot off these stacks. I think the A could be a good start for that.
Look at that stat. This is their first time playing the hero this tournament. They haven't brought out the AA a single time, so really digging deep here in the final game, or I say the final game, what could be the final game for them. To look at it from the other perspective, Team Spirit, this is probably a surprise for them, given the circumstances that there hasn't been a single AA from Gladiators. Do you change any sort of approach on the Spirit side? I guess, like you guys said, maybe you want to keep the CK flex. What are your next two go-to picks to make this AA feel bad?
Laning stage, I think the last time they ran this, they're probably looking at a Dark Willow for Spirit to lane it. That lane seemed incredibly strong. I'm not sure who's going to play the CK. They might keep it open for a while. It is a little annoying to play CK versus AA in some ways because of the armlet issue. You can't really toggle that. So that could be annoying. But then again, the Phantasm does delete AA pretty quickly. So I could see this being an off-lane CK if Yatoro finds a better pick for himself. But I think the Dark Willow is definitely something they're looking at.
I would really like it if they pick Dark Willow. I think what you said about the 3 CK sounds good as well because AA can keep clicking to CK, but as soon as it's level 3 or 4, these clicks aren't going to do anything to him at all.
Yeah, AA afraid of mobile heroes and heroes who are very fast and can jump backlines and stuff like this. So we can see already Primo and Pac bans, and CK is one of those heroes actually. It's pretty like fast hero, it gets into backlines pretty fast. So heroes who doesn't afraid AA, in some sense maybe TB can work again for Team Spirit because you always can swap HP, like even if you're under AA ulti. Yeah,
I think they're going to pick 18 Spectre. Like, they should start to look at it. I don't know if they will for sure, but I liked what you said about like getting these backline jumpers. I think Yatoro, he played a lot of Spectre. I mean, he played some at this tournament, but he was playing a lot of Spectre in pubs. He always goes for some really high damage builds. So he go like Bloodthorn, Manta. Like, he never goes for some like tanky build at all. He just looks to kill the backline. I guess Grimstroke does something similar that you were saying as well, right? Just giving you a really high kill threat lane. You want to make sure that the CK is at least open as a flex or the 18 pick.
Yeah, I think they go for that because it's a lot better versus the Pango than the Willow would be, right? You can get the leash on him and then he can get stuck. So same thing in the laning stage though. It's really strong, get on top of him, lots of damage. Just Grim is better for this particular game.
Triand is in again. This was a hero Spirit ran against Pango last time, but they are going to go for the Tusk.
Oh,
are we committed here to a 5 Tusk for this reason? Has Mira been playing Grim? He has, right? They've both played both of these heroes. So this for Team Spirit, I believe, is a complete flex among their support players.
Mira has not played Tusk yet, so it's most likely 100% in Poshka so far.
Did he not play Tusk in game 1? Am I...
Oh, he played it in the last game, but outside of that, I suppose.
Right, outside of this series. Okay,
yeah,
got it. Yeah.
My notes are outdated from the last.
I'm sure they can flex it perfectly well. I think actually Morta's not banned in this series, which is sort of surprising because I mean they broke Gamin's confidence in the hero a bit because I think Telfu played literally every game on this hero before that.
You just go back for it, yeah, because it does what they need him to do, right? I feel like you just have so many issues with Gaiman's other heroes that you feel like you don't have to ban it because you have to ban so many other things in this game, like the Necro, the Phoenix, the Chen, all these heals, and this is really good banning, I think, by Team Spirit, even the Kunkka. These lineups where you see them group up, be able to push, they're not being able to get them because you have to deal with the heroes that you see in front of you, and some of your best heroes to do these pushes are just being banned out by Team Spirit. So they're going to play the Brewmaster. The only question I do have, yet again, is this Pango too early? Is it too early of a Pango game? Will he have a game? Right now it looks like they only have one answer for him, but I expect more to come. Is there any mid laners potentially, Dindy, that can punish that's left in the pool?
Oh, for sure. There is a bunch. Like this hero become not as strong as it used to be. It's actually pretty strong in lane still. Like
there's the dazzle.
Here we go, the lane punisher. If I decide to put it mid, I can still think about it. It's weird to see sometimes healers picked into A, but I think the purpose is especially like having these insanely strong lanes. They can still do post-free dazzle if we decide, or I don't know, like if Collapse gonna play it or not. I'm curious because one hero that comes to my mind that both teams ignoring, second I think, all games, is Spirit Breaker, right? We all talked how imbalanced and broken this hero is, and now we don't see it much because even here I saw, okay, we have Grimstroke, maybe potentially, who knows? There is not so many heroes to stop it if you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the Spirit Breaker, especially since I think there's like a mechanic with Brewmaster where the Brewlings take the creep damage from the charge, so you actually kill like over half their HP even after the Brewmaster's 20 time. One interaction with the Dazzle versus A that I think swings the matchup a little bit is that you can actually permagrave someone if they get AA ultied. As soon as you hit 18 on Dazzle, so it's not as much of like a, oh, they can all in no matter what with this AA on one target.
What do you guys make of Spirit's approach to dealing with Gaming Gladiators, which, I mean, if you look at the game in lineup, it seems very teamfight-centric, right? You've got Pango, you've got Brewmaster ult. Are you a little concerned for Gaming Gladiators having downtime when they have cooldown on this? You look at Spirit's lineup, it seems very fast, very low cooldown. It can play in duos, trios. Do you think by design this Dazzle fits that playstyle really well?
For sure, and I would add up here that both previous game and this game so far, what bothers me in Gaming Gladiators draft is they don't really have saves in their lineup. If you look at Team Spirit lineup, they already have 2, and usually on like middle game, late game, this is one of the most important things that you have in your lineups. So not only like big cooldowns like on Brew or something like this, but also like saves. I think it's often can be like game changer.
Speaking of saves, I think Gaimin probably needs to ban Centaur in this game. This could be a really good hero. Like you see the roll come out, you see the split come out. Some Centaur Stampede could disengage that really well. I think they need another hero that... I'm just kind of looking at Yatoro's hero pool. I'm not seeing anything much better versus the Brewmaster than the CK right now. Potentially it was like a Morphling, but then you're playing versus AA, Weaver's banned.
Just like a Night Stalker.
Carry?
Yeah, I think Nightfall pulled that out a couple hits. I could actually see Yatoro playing in a game like this. It's actually a really good Night Stalker carry game.
Agree on that. That looks amazing if we go for it. It's very hard to play with this lineup so far against Night Stalker carry. You don't have so many reliable stuns, I would say, on Gladiators yet. Like you have a lot of some skill shots that you need to aim, so it can create a problem. Yeah, also, by the way, Grim is also safe if you think about it, right? Like his shard is used so efficiently at TI so far.
Yeah, we saw it in the last game as well. Like, I guess the only question is, like, they probably are wanting a ranged hero because you have Tusk potentially 5, and I don't know if CK Tusk lane is gonna cut it. I guess they could do it.
I think just because they see the AA, they might feel like they can greed it out. Like they have a 5 that doesn't really prevent the carry from getting all in, and that can't protect themselves. So you can like play for the kills in lane with something like a CK Tusk. I could see them just go for the range route with the Tusker 5 though. I think they'd have really strong lanes that way as well.
It seems like Gaming Gladiators have the same mindset with this Dawnbreaker ban, right? This is a hero combination that we saw other teams run earlier in the tournament, the Tusk Dawn as a dual lane, just absolutely obliterating weak 5s. So it does seem like Gaimin are still in that mindset of this CK is going to be the carry. But as you guys pointed out, I don't even think CK Tusk is going to struggle here unless that the carry last pick from Gaimin really solves that lane. AA does not like this matchup.
Honestly, I just like this last hero from Team Spirit to sort of solidify their team fights. I feel like right now they actually have a chance that they can run over in team fights. I think Pango, Brewmaster, and Mortar are all really strong heroes.
Oh,
okay.
Nice call. Well, it was time. Bendy wanted it, he got it.
Oh, it's a beautiful lineup here. Spirit Breaker Grim looks very scary, very scary. Also, it's BKB Pierce once again, which is very strong in a lot of situations.
Yeah, I think the carry pool, I think the Troll being banned and the Void kind of can signify that you want this CK to be your carry. So they're going for that offline route, not going for the Centaur, going for the Spear Breaker, which Brewmaster, I guess you have a Dispel, which helps a little bit against that if you can get it off on time, but we've seen time and time again in the late game, it doesn't really matter. You have like a BKB, Octarine Core, and like a Refresher Orb, so you can't really deal with that. So this has been a Collapse special throughout like the entirety of this TI, and he's really good at it, and it looks pretty scary here. I will say the game in its lineup, it looks pretty good though so far. I think whenever you play against Dazzle, having that AA is really good if you can ever commit on him.
We have a Spectre. Gonna round it out with a Spectre, so giving maybe some skirmishing potential to Gaming Gladiators. You have a carry that can join globally. Was this just a matter of, okay, there's nothing left?
Is the lane going to be okay?
Yeah, honestly, I'm really worried for Gladiators. I feel like every time I've seen Spear Breaker have a good lane, this hero's like the most unreal imbo of the patch.
Yeah, Spectre A is one of the best combinations in the game for ages, and I don't think anything changed in that, because both heroes complement each other very well. But at the same time, the lineup on Team Spirit looks crazy in late game if it's the game D-Ways.
All right, seems like we're grasping. Are we grasping at straws for Gaming Gladiators? Is this actually going to be that difficult of a safe lane? Or is maybe some sort of hope with rotation from maybe a gating where it could offset this balance in the top lane? Can you leave Brewmaster alone for a minute to try to help? Or do you need to get really creative?
I think a lot can happen in this game, and I think a lot's going to come from the mid lane. And can Quinn get rotations, and can they abuse Laurel this game? Because I think Laurel is very exploitable in this game with AA ult, Spectre ult, and if he feeds a lot of net worth back, that could be a way back into the game.
Yeah, I can completely see that. If one lane starts getting pressured, like you have the Spectre to add on, the Pangolier probably is going to be the strongest hero in the game when he gets his role. So they do have a lot of angles on Gladiators to snowball off that.
So I guess, I mean, not to sound like a broken record, but we're very focused on the laning stage, as per usual in this series. If you're in Quinn's shoes in this game, obviously you've had a couple of games that did not go according to plan, right? Let's talk a little bit about the mentality of him going up against what we assume will be a very unfavorable matchup against Laurel and the Dazzle. What do you think Quinn is telling his team right now? Is it, all right, I'm going to be struggling, but I'll come back, or I need help for sure in this game?
It's actually not that bad for Pango. It's one of the better heroes to sustain against Dazzle, because you have 2 jumps to jump away from its poison attacks. So I think Quinn is extremely experienced and he will be fine.
All right, guys, Gaming Gladiators, they are on the ropes. I'm sure Team Spirit are feeling themselves right now, and let's see if it is the same for their coach, Silent.
Thank you very much. I am joined by Silent of Team Spirit, where around 2 years ago, you were in a very similar spot. It was Grand Finals, TI10 in Bucharest. You were up 2 games. Now, a lot has changed since then, but it hasn't changed for your team. The energy from 2 years ago to now, does anything feel different?
No, I think we feel the same. You need to be focused and play till the end. It doesn't matter lead you or losing. Same. You don't like to, okay, we're leading it to Aero, we can make some YOLO plays.
A championship mentality through and through, but I know one thing that's different. 2 years ago, you didn't have a crowd. But this time, I think they're ready for a game number 3.
And we are certainly ready for a game number 3. Though we certainly don't want to end it here. Seattle, do we want to see some more Dota? Here in the Cathedral in Seattle, we may just be witnessing the final game of the Grand Finals, but I'm sure a lot of us hope for so much more. And that all depends on Gaming Gladiators. I mean, they have been the ones to run the gauntlet through all of these majors. They were looking like the best team of the year until they ran into Team Spirit. Until Team Spirit ramped up in just the right time, shown up for championships, and they have only lost 2 games in this entire tournament, Avery. They're 43-7 in their last 50. This team is looking unstoppable. Is there anything Gaming Gladiators can do to halt this momentum, even just a little bit?
You have to play Dota. There's no way around it. You have to meet this team on their plane and give them a taste of their own medicine, because you came in with a plan, but everybody has a plan until Team Spirit punches you in the face. And right now you're laying on the ground trying to figure out what the hell just happened in the first 2 games. your plan did not work. Whatever you thought it was going to happen in the games 1 and 2, it fell flat. So right now, Team Spirit are in control of this draft meta. They're in control of the series, and they're dictating the pace in these games. They're dictating the team fight. So you have to meet them there and beat them. You have to outplay them. You have to start winning these team fights, scaling into the late game. You are not going to run this team over, which means you got to find some more momentum going past that 30 or 40 minute mark. It's not been Gaiman's MO this entire lower bracket run, but hey, you're in a dire situation in grand final. You don't have another chance here. You are at the total limit. So figure it out fast, make the adjustments, and get cranking. This is a draft that is heading in that direction, right? A lot more team fight, a lot more scale and presence. Spectre AA here designed to put Yatoro in a tough position. We've seen the AA be a counter to CK for a lot of this tournament in terms of limiting the lifesteal interactions. Of course, it can also have a huge impact versus the Dazzle as this game progresses into the late game. So I think these are much more even lineups in terms of what happens past the 40 or 50 minute mark. There's not some crazy inevitable scale outside of maybe Dazzle Spirit Breaker doing crazy Dazzle Spirit Breaker things, and Celery in trouble.
In the bottom lane, and that is going to be your first blood. Collapse will claim it with a bash.
Of course, a little luck goes a long way. A classic Team Spirit strategy going back to their first TI victory in a career boot.
Courier pickoff as well. Look at that, Duracho even like taking himself outside the lane to block the hard camp, because this lane is already going a little bit awkward for them. The mid lane's not looking much better. We're 12-4 on Laurel over this melee. Range versus melee matchup, it's not a fun one. You should expect the Dazzle to win, but Laurel is already taking commanding lead. And then we've got your Toro, 11-2. Now the Brewmaster is keeping pace, but he's certainly not slowing down the carry of Team Spirit. So Gaming Gladiators got to be able to hold this momentum a little bit further here. Bit of damage onto Ace. They're turning it back around, but Tofu's here to be able to help him out. Nice shot to get the extra bit of damage on 2 heroes.
Yeah, double proc, win the war of attrition. I think these silence can go fine for Gaiman over the course of the lanes. They don't look too terrifying to me. I think the Brew can fight back with the help of Morta, just a very tough hero to trade into. That mid lane is what I'm worried about though, right? It's Dazzle versus melee. I mean, Pango has some escape mechanisms, but if you get some roam going through with the poison adding up, it can be deadly.
Every single time Seller wants to be able to stop that hard camp opportunity, he does risk getting gone on by Mira and Collapse. This time around, he's fine. The Shard inadvertently kind of helps him out as he's pushed underneath his tower.
Just try and get as many pulls off as you can in this lane. Boost the XP up for both heroes as they both really want and need it here. You're not going to be able to shut Collapse down, which, I mean, that's a worrying factor, right? A Spirit Breaker with absolute free farm, it's going to have a fast Midas, is what Collapse is going to have here. He's going to have his choice. And it'll be quite powerful going into that mid game. So you got to be able to strike back in these small skirmishes, get the ults up, particularly the Brewmaster Primal Split, the Rolling Thunder here, very powerful spells if you can get them fast. And of course, A Blast coming in on top of it with Vortex amping up all this magic damage and put that mini haunt to use on the step.
Real quickly, want to give a shout out to our observers, our hardworking observers who have been keeping us through this entire tournament. Ace, maybe in some trouble here. Maposhka, he's trying to dodge all of these ghosts. He doesn't want to lead the calling. He'll take that extra bit of damage to try and risk it, but he does end up falling as a result. And now Ace, he'll have some helping in from Tofu. Beautiful dead shot to push him back in, and Gaming Gladiators, a very clutch fight there for them. Tofu and Ace get a big win in their off lane.
That's the strength of the Morta dual lane that they're looking for. This is why this hero's been a first pick for them for a lot of these series. They're very confident in what Tofu can do on it in the early game. And now he has some roam options. I don't think you can leave Ace in the 1-on-2, but if you can get some breathing room like this and look towards mid, maybe you can get some damage poke, help skew this lane back in Quinn's favor. Because he is still getting known. 31-10 on Laurel, almost doubling Quinn up here. He got the Courier as well. Quinn with a slight misstep will hurt his regen fairing. That just means more pressure going to build up between Laurel and his melee foe. Just not much you can do against the poison touch here.
Yeah, this is looking like Quinn kind of needs one of his supports to die just to refill that bottle, and Celery may grant him that wish. He's going to get a double blood grenade before he goes, so this may be a fair trade-off if Duracho can claim his life, and he does manage to get it. It puts an early level into that Desolate, and it's just the added damage they need.
Honestly, I think Celery's okay with that. Solo XP for Duracho on a Spectre. He gets to collect all these creeps under the tower without any pressure. Pretty happy about that exchange with a very defensive-oriented lane where, what are you doing aggressively with the AA Spectre? It's all about getting farm and XP down here.
And there's that TP rotation to fill out Quinn's bottle. And try and help with the 6-minute rune. Let's see if he's able to do so, but Team Spirit not going to worry about the runes here. Instead, they try and win this off-lane situation where Ace and Tofu were doing pretty well for themselves. They bring 3 heroes to the matter to bring down Ace if they can get him. Slowed down by the blood grenade. They only need a couple more hits. They've got more blood. Where that came from, apparently, gives them over that Lotus, and that's enough.
Evasion with the haze, enough for Ace to just walk off here.
I lied. They do care about that power rune because they brought Collapse to secure it. Not just that, but also the kill on Quinn.
That's just going to secure the double check for Laurel. He's going to walk all the way top and get himself a shield rune. Putting this matchup to good use, giving Quinn a taste of his own medicine here with the roam. Maybe not expected out of the offlaner, but that is a hell of a rotation from Collapse and gets a lot of momentum going into this Dazzle right now. And this is a pressure point you're going to have to respond to. And this is a hero that scales very hard in Dota right now. Pretty strong early game for Team Spirit. They're going to look to try and fight back, but Quinn with a nice rotation, just eyeing Yatoro up here all alone. Will get the hit back.
If you're just going to keep dying in your lane, you might as well rotate out of it, even if it means you're doing it pre-level 6. So, as you can see, anybody who shows up in the mid lane is going to be run over by the Dazzle, especially if you get the extra vision of like a tough snowball or the Spirit Breaker charge. You just can't get away from this poison touch hit. So,
no, especially with these wards behind the tower already. Deep observer for Team Spirit behind game in tier 1. Collapse having a chuckle about that.
Yeah, that was all because Quinn tipped him before the charge even completed. Quinn knew what was coming. He could do nothing to stop it.
Well, could have picked the real hero.
It's always an option.
Just saying.
4-4, 7.5 minutes in. Did we trade off Wisdom Runes? Yeah.
Yes, that was the one upside of, you know, them going on mid. You guarantee the Wisdom Rune trade, which Celery's definitely happy about. Yeah. I mean, you're saying he's like happy to soak up XP here, but it is a weird position for an AA who'd rather just be pulling if nothing else is happening.
They'll leave Durantio alone in the bottom lane, but a really good use of the dagger will get him over that little cliff area, and Tofu can get some damage back in return. No threat of anybody dying, but a decent punish, and will allow Durantio to clean up some CS, but he is being pushed out of lane. Mira's not giving up on it just yet.
And Leposhka even rotating down here, potentially throwing that Inkswell into the Breaker. I mean, this is a combination we also saw when Breaker was hot that last patch. The Team Spirit were very comfortable playing. The Inkswell Breaker across the map, giving you the guaranteed setup. This is what the CK is designed to help facilitate. Push the lanes in with CK illusions, be a ghost on the map, and all of a sudden you get one pick off and your map just collapses, right? Well, on the flip side, Gaming trying to do something similar. If you can set anything up with a Primal Split or the Rolling Thunder, then suddenly Durantio can come in and clean house. And this is a smoke designed to find Yatoro, but nobody's home. Yatoro.
They juke him out with a Phantasm. He sent it back instead. Quinn and Ace will bite down on that, but it doesn't matter too much that bait. They still get some pretty good damage onto the tower. One thing to note about that Inkswell combination with the Spirit Breaker. Oh, thought they were going to go on to Mira, but Mira's going through the portal. They don't have a stun to stop him. He gets the other side. Durantio pursues.
Dagger does hit him.
Yeah, he's pretty damn slow, and he's going to hit him with another dagger. Mira, he needs the help from the Spirit Breaker. He has a snowball to buy a moment. Collapse, pops his ultimate, immediately goes for the kill onto Tofu. See if they can trade things out here for the shard and the calling. That actually protects him there. Collapse doesn't want to trade 2 for 1, so he's going to go ahead and give up on that. They cannot afford to give any more kills to this Durantio Spectre.
Gonna rotate Laurel bottom. They really want to punish Durantio.
There it is.
Coming back.
The Inkswell charge in, chaining the stuns and adding up on the damage. Spirit Breaker got that 5% buff. The movement speed as damage got buffed up by 5%. That was enough to bring him back into the meta, but then that's even more if you add in this Inkswell movement speed buff.
It's a deadly combination for reasons. I like that rotation from Laurel, though. That's such a heads-up read there. You can just walk down the lane. There's no vision here. They probably had a read because Celery's been mid the whole time, right? It's going to limit where your observers are going to go. Just gets a really cheeky kill on the Spectre. Nice shard to buy some time.
Good driving by Quinn. Gets around that little speed bump in the way. Hopefully Durantio can finish him up, but not quite. No, Shalgrave comes in for Law. Perfect timing there. Quinn does manage to get some decent damage on Toro, and Ace is here. He makes the difference. He makes it so Team Spirit can no longer fight bad. It's an overwhelming amount of team fight that he'll put to work to bring down Yatoro, and it looks like he's going to chase down Leposhka. Mira really trying for this one. He might just get himself killed in the process. Will it be good enough? Leposhka still dies, and sure enough, Mira, he's going to be in trouble as well. Good use of the shard, blocking him out, but he still falls. Cannot stop Gaming Gladiators as they bring all 5, learning from Team Spirit perhaps. The only way to beat these guys in a team fight is you got to bring everybody to the table.
And that's why I think this draft feels a lot better for them to play. They can connect the heroes a lot faster. The Spectre facilitates that at a tremendous rate. And then Ace is just on a hero where, even if his lane phase wasn't spectacular, which it has been this game, that Primal split into a fast Radiance is going to give them all the team fight they need. This CK does not have free engagements, where I felt like in the first 2 games, Yatoro's connections were uncountered, right?
Yeah.
He goes in with a Weaver, goes in with a Faceless Void, gets what he wants and gets out. This game, Yatoro finds himself in a pickle mid where he just can't escape, pays the price. An 0-3 start for Yatoro got up here. Perhaps one of the rougher early games we've seen from him the entire tournament. That is a very good position for Gaimin to be in. It's going to shut down a lot of the pace.
Varl's going to have to pick up that little bit of slack, right?
Yes.
He's going to have to step in with this Dazzle, but the Dazzle, I feel like, isn't a hero you really want to utilize just yet. Feels like that Aghanim Scepter is such a key timing. You can't afford to delay that by getting into some risky engagements.
This hero is like Tinker in some ways. I guess first item, kind of easy to get to. You're a powerhouse when you get it, but then you fall into a valley, and it's like the next 2 or 3 you have to get to before you really come online in the ultra late, and those team fights start to become impossible for the enemy. That is a period where Gaimin can strike with this Radiance, which is going to be coming out fast on Ace this game. And just take the team fight to Team Spirit, which is where, again, you have to meet this team. You have to be willing to take the 5-on-5s and win them and translate it into objectives. You can't just go for the other first.
Smoke across the map. They failed to get the initiation on Collapse. We're going to try and join Quinn for the power run. Quinn's going to need that help too. He silenced up the Poison Touch. The Inkswell's on top of him, but he does manage to get away with the Swashbuckle just in time. The charge is going to complete. Collapse, he's got his ultimate. He may not even need it though. The Poison Touch slowed him down so much. And Maposhka's getting a TP out the shot. Oh, it's so close, but it runs out. It doesn't get there in time, and now a snowball to the other side to meet Seraccio, as it is now him who is surrounded by Team Spirit heroes, too many to count.
And that is a Midas Chaos Knight coming in and cleaning up the enemy carry there. Yatoro gets some XP, a much better turnaround for him as opposed to the last River fight where they're still missing that tier 1. So maybe a smoke and connection that Quinn and the gang just didn't expect, considering, you know, they're missing that objective that went down in the previous fight.
Yep. But it seems like Team Spirit take advantage of that bit of an overlook from Quinn. And now Collapse, highest net worth in the game. But Gaming Gladiators don't want to slow down just yet. They still have that Rolling Thunder. Didn't use it in the last fight. So Tofu and Celery think to themselves that if they can get the right kind of initiation here with the Rolling Thunder, they can follow it up with the Ice Blast. But Yatoro, he's in the staircase. It's going to be very awkward. The Soul Bite does actually latch onto the 2 of them as Spectre jumps into the mix as well. Please tell me they're going to hit him. Oh, they barely got it.
In the fountain, he will go down. It wasn't even the blast. It was like an urn tick or something that got him in the end. Post that grave. That was a nasty soulbind, something they're going to have to think about with Seraccio haunting in. They will find the big pick.
Ace is so close to his Radiance, he could not afford to get picked off here. So at the first sign of danger, he uses his Primal Split. Though you could see the Spirit Breakers pretty good answer to those Brewlings. No threat of dying here, but something to think about later into the game.
I mean, normally the Dispel and Tornado is a problem for this hero, but doesn't look like it so far. And like you said, Radiance 300 off for Ace. He just wants to get his big item and get the farm rate going. Still having a very good game on this Brewmaster.
Yeah, considering the Lone Druid game where he was so close to the Radiance for so long, I don't think he wants to risk that happening again.
And Radiance is an incredibly powerful item in this meta. It's better the faster you get it. In a lot of those games, Ace just didn't get it at a time where he could take the map where the fight's over with it. This is going to be a game where he has a very good chance to do that. As Yatoro still behind, right?
Yeah.
This is a double Midas lineup for Team Spirit. They have one on the CK, one on the Spirit Breaker, which, you know, has become the de facto build for the XP getting to the late game talents. It is going to slow the team fight presence down. I really feel like if Gaming can get a fight going in the next 2 to 3 minutes here, they're pretty favored, especially with Diffusal and Radiance coming out at the same time. This is a huge damage power spike. You want to get something going with it, and you want to get it going now.
They go for it. The Radiance is complete, though, on Ace, but they know the Primal Split is on cooldown.
Yeah, this is a beefy target to just go into, especially when you don't have the global ability to connect. I mean, how much does Collapse think he can chunk through here?
Tofu just left him alone. Tofu was needed to be able to disrupt this combination, but now Ace is left alone, speeds himself away. Somehow the Inkswell didn't go off in time. Maposhka didn't pop that one. Tarachi was like, okay, now it's my opportunity. Hello, Maposhka. Oh, almost got him with a fear shot there on the left-hand side, but Maposhka still dies. Collapse still in trouble, has a charge instead. Off through the TP out, but that doesn't make it.
Calculations not on point here. Yeah, he could have just charged the other side of the map. Maybe he didn't have a good target, but there was a mid-wave. They will collect a 3 extra
This is
streak on
such an
him.
important kill, too. Gaming Gladiators with the Ice Blast on top of Laurel. Now, Collapse and Laurel, who were very much needed to be able to buy Yatoro time, now they've both fallen.
And now you're invading enemy triangle. This is where Gaming want to strike. They want to strike hard on the map right now, gain a lot of the momentum in this game. They have the supports to follow up on the core initiations. They have a crap ton of damage in the tank as long as they can see heroes. And with Darachu able to join any of these goes, suddenly this map has collapsed pretty fast for Team Spirit. And Ags on the Dazzle, try and stem some of this bleeding, but right now this crowd, they want to see a game 4. They want to see Gaming strike back in this game 3, and they are delivering.
Yeah, I'm not even convinced those are all Gaming Gladiators fans. They might just be Dota fans who want to be able to see more from a grand finals between these two teams, but it's still a long road ahead for Gaming Gladiators because they're only 2K net worth up. They've hit some timings, yes, but they still have to worry about the double hand of Midas. They have to play this clean. They need to be able to get good executions, but they can't afford to use any pickoffs. Good roll in from Quinn. From behind, though, trapping Team Spirit. Shot goes out, looking for more. The Dazzle was shown there. Quinn getting in front of him, blocks him out with a swashbuckle, slows him down with the inhibit from the diffuser plate, allows Darachu to do the damage. He pops the shallow grave. Laurel, he really wants to finish off Quinn. Will he get that kill? The poison touch. He's got a regen. A Lotus given over to him as well. Good plays from Gaming Gladiators. Give him the extra bit of regen he needs, and now he can pop the regeneration in his bottle for a full heal.
Max efficiency right now. All Team Spirit can do is cut some waves with their double Midas heroes and go late. Because right now it is all Gaming on the momentum chart. And a full Vessel was completed very fast here from Tofu. That even gives you more damage. Vessel plus A Blast is nasty in these team fights when you're throwing the vortexes down, particularly versus Dazu, who wants to just heal through with the inverse waves and get that going.
Yeah, you've got Dazzle, you've got the Inkswell heal that, would have been a factor if it wasn't for all the anti-heal they have. And then also the Chaos Strike, that lifesteal that the Chaos Knight is so dependent on.
And there is no downtime for this lineup.
Look at him, burned out of mana. They try and give him over a little bit, see if he can charge his way out of there, but he's silenced up by calling trapped in the corner. And then they use that Storm Panda to be able to catch more. Laurel's gonna die as well. The Dazzle getting no footing in this game.
Ace making his presence felt, and this was with a second item, Boots of Travel, so this isn't even some early court item.
Looks like he didn't have a way back to the base, so he tried to skirt on through Gaming Gladiator side of the map, but he was spotted, and he will be brought down.
This Brew Spectre combination working wonders right now. Ace is 5-0 and 10. Completely unstoppable. And you can't bring the CK in to really help you here. The Brew is just great versus the hero with the Radiance Burn, the AoE miss. He has the evasion that Yatoro can't pierce. And not to mention his ult, he can go in, start messing up these CK illusions.
Yeah, with Radiance and the Dispel, this Chaos Knight's gonna be...
So, what are your options? I mean, you have to just wait until Yatoro's ready to fight, I think. You have to split the map with the Breaker, and this is where Gaming can continue to try and pick you off, put the Vessel to use, put the Radiance to use. And of course, Daracho, he's on a hero that doesn't have to farm up some crazy stacks, doesn't have to go in the fight first. He can just farm the defensive parts of the map. If nothing happens, he's still happy. He's still got a Spectre. Drum for Tofu, just to buff up the team fight even more here. Sporta is doing work, also having a perfect game so far. And the calling is not a spell that these Team Spirit heroes want to fight into. It's annoying for Mira going in with the snowball. It's annoying for Laurel trying to run in and grave people with low-level grave. Team fight is very obnoxious right now. It's going to collect a free tier 2.
So, a tier 2 at 19 minutes for Gaming Gladiators. They could actually take away that outpost. Got a pretty good chokehold on the map. What they desperately need now is just not to slip up anywhere, not allow Team Spirit an opening. As they're building up this net worth lead, it may become insurmountable as long as Team Spirit doesn't pull anything sneaky here. The smoke up, it slips right past Team Spirit. They get the high ground ward, immediately spots him a Poshka, and Darachu recognizes that that is the hero he wants to get first, and the dead shot bounces over to Yatoro and hit by the Rolling Thunder. He's trapped, caught, and there's nowhere to go from there. Too many disables on the side of Gaming Gladiators, and they have way too much damage. They need the BKBs on the side of Team Spirit, but they're not going to get them anytime soon.
He had it.
Oh, he had it.
That was a BKB. He disassembled in body. He just didn't want to pop it. He didn't have Phantasm. There's no turnaround there.
Yeah.
He will choose to save it for another day. That is the 5th death for Yatoro here, who is yet to make a single kill in this game.
Hey, there's the Dazzle play, though. 20 minutes on the dot. They're going to use the Couriers to use the Aghanim Shadow Wave. He could solo up that.
That's the better shard I think they were hoping for.
Oh, yeah.
Inkswell shard from Aposhka. Going to be pretty damn nice here. Trying to dispel these melee heroes when they go in. Still, I feel like if you're Team Spirit, you're trying to wrap this game out right now. And that is a big paradigm shift from games 1 and 2.
Yeah, how do you wrap, though, against a Spectre? And, well, you got this Quinn. He is running around with a Pangolier. You're not going to be able to solo in a lane for very long. It only takes a few seconds for Gaming Gladiators to spot the opportunity and jump onto an Ice Blast, not even needed. Tofu has the damage necessary to kill the support by himself.
And the really nice thing about what's happening right now for Gaming is this Spectre is doing an amazing job protecting their wards. One of the biggest things you have to combat when you play against Team Spirit is the vision advantage. They had it a lot in Game 1 with that Treant Protector. They abused it pretty damn well in Game 2. Here, it's Maposhka trying to get out, get vision for the team, to de-ward these aggressive obs that are doing work for Gaming because they know they're there. They're getting taunted on. But the cooldown's just so damn low by the time you're back up. By the time you run there to try and gain anything, they're ready to jump on you again. And yeah, I mean, there's always a little Spectre bias in the win probability, and I think that's fair to say. But this is the best Gaming has looked in this series by a large degree. They're continuing to build the momentum.
And he can continue to build the single target items since Ace is built the Radiance, so he can just focus on being able to take out a support in a second. He's going to build into an Orchid up next, so now if you're spotted anywhere on the map, Dyrachyo can guarantee that the Grimshow dies or the Tusk dies or maybe even some of the cores. He's going to pop it here, looking for Mira. They just get the vision on him. They'll spot him now, and there it is. They jump immediately. Snowball tried to put to work, but it just means he's going to be dragged back in. He does manage to get a shard, but unfortunately, Dyrachyo doesn't care about your blocks there. The Ice Shards does nothing when he has free pathing.
Spirit just bleeding out right now. They have no answer to the Spectre on the map. Their supports are way too squishy. They don't have an early aura buy. There's no Beastmaster or anything to help protect the backline on the map or help them get lanes out. All three of these cores are just building for themselves, right? It's damage items into BKB. You have two Midases that are still trying to get the work done. Collapse will try and find a pickoff on Tofu, and this will combine with Maposhka, so they strike back a little bit on the map.
Much needed.
And finally, they're getting some deep vision out as well. You look at these dire obs. It took Maposhka a while, but these are some visions they can play around at least. Though, of course, the second you get spotted...
It's Maposhka somehow doesn't get spotted by Quinn there. And they have to charge back in. Are they really going to try this a second time? He's got an armor room. He had so much shields he's got. Maposhka's just going to stay hidden here. The charge canceled by the Spirit Breaker.
Rolling Thunder very far away. He's just going to initiate from 3,000.
Yeah, because at any point in time, the Spectre can join him as soon as he gets that initiation, but they don't quite catch him. The Ice Blast is going to be stretched out. Yutaro may see an opportunity to turn this around. Yeah, he's going to go for Dyrachyo here with the Snowball. There's so many heroes. They dispel out the Phantasm, but Yutaro himself, he will bring down, he will use his own hand to take down the enemy carry. Now looks to finish up these Brewlings if possible. Gaming Gladiators trying so hard. The last one is going to die. Double kill for Yutaro, and they turn back for Celery. A blink away from Quinn. He cannot afford to get caught here, but he doesn't have a TP. If he gets spotted...
They scanned him. They know.
On the scan. Uh-oh. Quinn's going to be in for a rude awakening in a second here. He just needs his blink up, and he gets him by the Dicto. Swashbuckler from the side, but they have the silence on him. The Ghost remains with Quinn. He tries to go for a roll-up play, but he's got nowhere to roll away to.
Those have TP back.
Stuck in the corner, getting some good damage with Swashbuckle. Too many heroes.
Really nice scan to finish up that fight, and I mean, a little overextension there under a tier 2 gives a really good fight to Yutaro. Ace dispelled a lot of the illusions, instantly dealt with some of the DPS, but Inkswells, the shards, all these little spells adding up, and of course Dyrachyo going down first. That's a lot of the damage that's been working for you. Downside of this Orchid build, right? The pickoff game is where it's strong. The 5-on-5, this Orchid's not doing anything for you into the early BKBs here. Team Spirit strike back, and just like that, somehow Yutaro is top of the board with from 0-5 to highest net worth. This Midas and the Illusions are doing work on the map right now.
And remember, this was double Midas lineup plus a Dazzle, the hidden Tinker. This lineup is going to start ramping up pretty damn quickly if you give them the space to work with. And right now, they've got 3 cores farming in 3 different parts of the map after a successful team fight. Gaming Gladiators, they cannot afford any more slip-ups. They've got Roshan still to be taken here at 25 minutes in.
It's also time for Maposhka to deward. One of the problems they were facing earlier in this game, suddenly he can run around with his courier, place a bunch of sentries, make sure there's not the deep vision that Gaming were playing off of earlier. So now it shifts the onus back on to Gaming in terms of you got to make an aggressive smoke, get vision back on the map, and keep setting up these pickoff plays for Dyrachyo, who's the one maybe getting picked off here. Zator just walks in blind.
Get a 3-second stun, pull him back in, but the silence is doing a lot of work. Quinn tries to roll up, but collapsing. The Ice Blast does manage to grab 2 of those cores, roll up the snowball onto Dyrachyo.
Yatoro in trouble.
Yatoro's in big time trouble. They give him the shallow grave.
Oh, what a shard.
BKB, but a beautiful shard blocking out some of these heroes. It's not enough. Yatoro still falls, and now with the toss up in the air, Laurel will come down to a hard reality. Crash down, he does have the BKB, and look at that heal. That Aghanim Scepter with so many units around him, it's so much heal. He is not going to die so easily. Gaming Gladiators thought they had an easy target. He will fight to the bitter end. He'll bring down Dyrachyo before he finally falls. Collapse stuck, though, in the silence. The buyback required from Gaming Gladiators because Laurel was too tough of a nut to crack.
That looked way closer than it should have been. These inverse heals are doing mad work at the end of the fight. Have to respect the burst that can come out from this Dazzle when that A blast has been used earlier on, but still great team fight from Gaming. Started out with Yatoro just walking blind into their triangle, and they were ready for him. Shadowblade did not help him out in that type of fight, and that Ice Blast, it was a beauty from Celery. Landed on pretty much everybody, forces the disengage, and the calling silenced Mira on this jump, right? This is the problematic aspect of this support matchup. When you go in with the Tuskar, this AoE silence clips you, your team fight's just a nightmare. Beautiful shards on the flip to block off the pandas from Laurel. Another really heads-up play, but damn, the damage is already done at this point, and now it's just a matter of cleaning up, which sounds easier than it actually looked like, right?
All of those illusions and rulings play against Gaming Gladiators in the worst way. And in the end, Laurel Living does get Dyrachyo killed, so.
Have to think about clumping up on top of this Dazzle in the later portions of these fights, but I mean, luckily, that's all the Primal split, right? The second ace comes out, he's still full. He's still got Manta Radiance. He's ready to party. He's going to slap some extra kills down for the full team wipe here. Just when this game was slipping up a little bit of momentum, Game and Strike back, get themselves a full 5-man wipe into the Roshan. We'll put an Aegis out on Quinn here, who's slowly getting towards that Ags. That team fight definitely helps. Still 500 off here, but that's going to be a large damage ramp as the Shadow Step comes out.
Dyrachyo's trying to do this solo. It's a bit dangerous. Collapse, they're going to try and turn back around. They do have the Ice Blast that'll finish off Mira pretty easily. And Collapse, he's got to be careful of his damage by Yatoro. He comes in, swipes down Dyrachyo. But the rest of the team is now here from Gaming Gladiators looking for the catch, but Collapse has already rolled away.
Catch him.
Ball taken out. Oh, the hook shot. It's not quite enough. They have no stuns. Collapse breaks free.
Straight through the man's heart. He did not care. He just walks it off. Can't really get much closer than that. And once more, Yatoro, he finds an angle in the fight, cleans up the Dyrachyo and gets the hell out. That is a full Silver Edge reveal done.
And now the Aegis is going to be taken away from Quinn.
The pickoff game is shifting, right?
Yes, it is. They're not respecting these Shadow Blades, not respecting the aggression, but a Eul's Scepter stalls him up. Collapse, Yatoro actually has BKB. They do catch the Ancient Apparition. He's going to die pretty damn quickly there. Roll up. The ruling's going to work, though.
They need to
stalling out Yatoro. Now that his BKB is on cooldown, now their magic damage can really go to work, and they can slice and dice through that carry pretty damn quickly. Maposhka, obviously, he doesn't have much hope of living through this. So the fight does turn against them. Not the worst, though, for Team Spirit, I would say. Just purely the fact that they're continuing to keep things a little even.
And their other two cores are farming the map.
Yes.
And they've got to be happy with, like, you know, the next 10 minutes here. This is when the Dazzle and the Breaker are going to come online. They've recovered some of the lost net worth differential here. These heals get very spooky around the 3rd to 4th item, and they're going to get them damn fast as Collapse is just farming up the map. But Yatoro's aggression used against him here. They'll get the return carry kill. That was a cocky move going up that hill and just taking the fight with his BKB. He can BKB TP there. Just opted. Blood for blood. Why not? We're in the arena.
I love that Dyrachyo still not slowing down. He may die every once in a while, but he says, you know, ultimately the end game is okay with me. We're still getting some good trade-offs in fights. I'm still going to try and limit your split push by going on you whatever you can.
Doesn't want to let it get away with a tier 2 for free.
BKB, they stick on top of him with the silence and the stuns. It's enough. Quinn is stunned up for so long. And now Tofu's going to be in some trouble as well. He pops his ultimate. That just kind of delays things a little bit, but there's no one coming to save him.
If you're getting multiple Ink Souls off in these fights, it's probably going to win you the engagement. And right now, you're just getting outnumbered at a tier 2. You overextended on. Courier will die as well. No Brewmaster ultimate for that type of fight. as strong as Ace is right now with a full AC completed on top of everything else, he does want this ult to take the long engagement, right? He's the most farmed hero in this game right now. If you're gaming, you have to play around what he wants to do, where he wants to take the fights, and what he can commit to. Otherwise, you're just creating an opening for Spirit to come in and pick you off. Yatoro once more looking for the initiation with 2 heroes dead. He'll get scouted on an Ob Sentry.
This is something that started to happen in that game too, where they managed to get, like, it was that one pick off on Celery, right? Where it's like they used the Chronosphere, picked off Celery, and it was like, okay, Chrono for a 5 position, but then they kept that going. You're like, okay, it's 4 versus 5. Then they found another pick off and another pick off, and it just so quickly snowballed against them. Gaming Gladiators, you gotta beware. Team Spirit will keep this aggression on point if they think they have the advantage.
And another Tormentor swiftly dealt with from Laurel and the Courier brothers over here.
That'll just mean his Chaos Bolt is all the more deadly for some of these supports.
And we can see how Yatoro wants to take these fights, right? Create confusion with his ult going through on lanes, show up with the Silver Edge, get a pick off, maybe reset. He doesn't have to commit into the full 5-on-5 into the Brew and Pango, which could control him in that type of situation.
Oh, he got stunned! Oh no! Landed on a pebble there, and as a result, Maposhka gets a pretty free TP on out of there. A smoke that's ruined, a Rolling Thunder that's used for nothing.
Interesting little tree.
Tree's just powerful.
One of the primal forces in Dota.
First cliffs, then trees. Quinn's having a...
Yeah, Quinn's having a tough time with the terrain
He's fighting Team Spirit. He's fighting the
map. Yeah, happens to the best of us. Another pickoff that they will miss, which is time for the Midases to go to work, right?
Yep.
They have been cranking this whole time and climbing the charts. This game is a 1K net worth lead now at 32 minutes. Dead even. And everything depends on these team fights. Collapse just
They're
charging.
getting the right kind of initiation here. A charge that hits both supports. Quinn on the run here. They immediately jump after him. Laurel chasing after him with that charge to be able to slow him down. Yeah. He's not going anywhere. 3 dead on the side of Gaming Gladiators, and Team Spirit have changed this game. The narrative was supposed to be Gaming Gladiators controlling and seeing if they could end it, but Team Spirit have turned this all back around in the space of just this 5 to 7 minutes.
And this is the Spirit Breaker problem. What happens when you enter the mid game and this hero starts to take over the lanes, get mega farmed, and suddenly one charge, you're down half your HP. Inkswell just makes this combo even more oppressive. The only real answer is you just start the fight on your terms with the Primal Split going in with a Haunt and delete the supports. Create a situation where you have numbers advantage, and even when the charge comes through, you don't care because you have the longevity and Ace to deal with it. If you're just getting caught in the open like that, it's a death sentence. And right now, Collapse is just running the map, literally. He is getting 6-slotted very fast. And the question is, do you have good late game answers to the Spirit Breaker here if you're gaming? Outside of tossing him in the air, dispelling him before BKB, not really, right? None of those traditional answers like a Shadow Demon or the Soulbind, which is on Team Spirit's side.
Yep. And that'll be a problem, especially if Collapse is able to use that charge to kill those Groovlings. That charge damage is pretty heavy. 31-22, 4,000 net worth lead for Team Spirit. They've managed to turn this game around and continue to dodge attempts by Gaming Gladiators. You could see the wind has been taken out of the Gaming Gladiator sail. Dorachio's not playing with that same kind of fearless that he once was, where anytime a hero showed up, he would just instantly jump and see if he could get the kill.
Yeah, the map has just gone dark. Right? You have one defensive off of your gaming, but those days of where you were picking people off on Spirit's side of the map have come and gone. You're now entering their portion of the game. You kind of have to get around this. You can go late here. Spectre plus the Brewmaster, especially with how much farm Ace has found in this game, are going to continue to scale pretty damn hard. And of course, you always have this option of like tossing the Dazzle in the fight with the Wind Panda and taking the fight that way.
Yep.
It's a pretty damn good option, a pretty good way to deal with Dazzle in a lot of the historic matchups between these two heroes. But you got to keep scaling on everybody. The Muerta and the AA scale is really important here for Gaming. If you can get a 4th core out of this Muerta, which, you know, Tofu has a full link, he's very farmed. None of it is like direct Muerta damage, you know. I mean, he doesn't have like an Ags or Mjolnir or Silver Edge of his own, but you can only expect so much. Still, it will deal a decent amount of damage. If you can lock heroes into calling post BKB, that's the dream. A little pump fake action.
Next fight coming up, all about Roshan. 10 seconds till that potential spawn time, and then we'll see when he's actually going to show up.
Also, Celery went back for this Ancient Apparition Blink, something we've seen develop in this meta. He is looking for that A blast on the big cores. The Dazzle and the CK especially, that is who he wants to hit. Cannot get snowball dodged. You can't really just A ult some random supports. It's not going to be good enough to win the fight. Need to connect this ult on a big target and collapse. He's just going to lead the charge with Bulldoze here. Not afraid of too much while both carries on the other side of the map.
Look at him just running in there.
This is a fight without Yatoro.
Oh, that ward somehow slips past detection. Oh, no, he's got it. Brace Lincolns gets him with the Dispel on the Yule Scepter, but it is going to cost Celery his life. He does have a buyback. He's going to play for it. Quinn off the mark there with his Blink in, trying to hit some heroes, but they've already popped their BKBs and are resetting a little bit. Celery, he's going to try and walk back into this fight. He's got to be careful, though. He may get caught by Collapse. He spots him.
Down the A again.
Tower. Yeah, that Ancient Apparition's gone. No more Ice Blast for you to be able to use. Ace has to use his ultimate. He knew Yatoro was gunning for him there, and he could have been chain stunned up. Now they back away. Primal Split being used. If they can get everybody out, it's a dream for Team Spirit. Collapse is making that momentum, though. Pushed back by the Void Panda. Now hit by the Orchid. If they can kill Collapse, that'd be great, but he has so many dispels and so many heals. Spirit jumping in, goes for the back line. The Pango's been caught, and Yatoro, he destroys him so instantly. Now turns his damage onto Darachi. Back by Collapse. A charge on through. Tofu, he just managed to get the force staff down to low ground. Does get a dead shot on the Collapse, but he's still pretty damn healthy, and they can't turn this one around. It is all Team Spirit, and they will feast on the Brewmaster last.
Team fight decision making just off the charts here. I mean, the kiting dealing with the ult, they just make it look way too easy right now, and so many charges going through from Collapse. He is looking for the high five, and he will get it here.
That was a fight for Roshan, but it is now a fight to hit high ground.
I mean, that's a fight for an Aegis.
Uh-oh.
What are you going to do if you don't have the buybacks or you're not willing to commit them right here? You don't even have the Primal Split if Ace is back. He doesn't even have the buyback. You are short.
Swing.
Short on so many levels right now. Collapse even ulting a Bruling because he knew the Lincolns was coming back up on Tofu just to get back in there and get another charge through. Lead is absolutely exploding here for Team Spirit as they are sensing potentially a second Aegis going their way. One more bad
Barracks and a Roshan to take. Team Spirit, they still have time on the clock. 30 seconds left on the Brewmaster's revive. That is more than enough to get this Aghanim Scepter and a Crystallis. They were winning that fight. Now they've got like 10,000 more gold of items to be able to use with an Aegis and Cheese and all these other items flowing in. Now you've got a Grimshoke with an Aghanim Scepter, Silver Edge fully complete.
They are creating too many problems. You can't deal with any of them. Level 25 also coming out on Collapse, so even more bashes on top of the Ags. If you thought this Spirit Breaker was causing you problems before, he's going to be causing them double now. Just no control for him, and he's way too tanky to try and burst. Darachi is just not doing enough single target DPS at this point. You're going to need one hell of a long, drawn-out fight.
Team Spirit, crazy. They're up 2-0. In this series. They're down in this game 3. They have a 5% chance to make it back in. Sure, they could just give it up, say, well, guys, it's the best of 5. We can give them one. But they claw their way back into this game, are now in a commanding position to potentially 3-0 the challengers in Gaming Gladiators.
That is what makes this team absolutely terrifying at this point in tournaments. And we saw everybody from all these teams talk about it, right? If you get ahead of this team, what does it mean? It just means when they might beat you, it feels even worse. Right now, this game has turned itself on the head, as you said. Over 20k lead. Aegis up for 4 minutes. So it'll be up to Yatoro in terms of whether he wants to push the high ground during this interval and try and end this game. He feels like he needs even more. There's still a lot of room to grow here. They did finish up an Ags on Maposhka as well, so now you can start to get some Dark Portraits in the mix. Just add even more chaos and confusion to the fight. More damage sources. Yatoro.
Quinn, blink it away.
No fear.
Can't get caught. Otherwise, that is welcoming Team Spirit into your base. Charge complete, half his health. Yule Scepter is going to be used. Nicely breaking with that Lincoln's, but he didn't use that Bulldoze towards the end there.
And these are just free. They have the ways to get Collapse out every time. There's a Lincoln's, there's a Swell, there's Four Staffs, Grave. Yatoro's going to take his chance to
burst down. Oh, man! Before you can even complete the sentence, he's already gone. They do have an Ice Blast, though, that's pretty well positioned. Duracio's already cleaned up the Grimstroke. It's not too bad, but Duracio, he needs to get out of there. And, oh my god, that's so much.
Buyback for the
It's
Spectre.
too much damage. Spectre has to win this now, but he has to be careful of that Dazzle. They have to be able to take away this Aegis at the bare minimum. Surely they have to go for more. They have to risk it. Collapse going to charge on Blue to make sure you can't set up on Yutoro. Now Yutoro will turn back around on you. He's ready for that fight. He pulls back into Duracio. This could be it for Gaming Gladiators unless they find a way out of it. Quinn's dead next. Now Duracio, a dive back for him. He falls. Tofu's pulled back in. He is pulled to his death, down into his grave. Quinn, last man standing for Gaming Gladiators.
It will be a one-man stand against what is looking like the best team in the world right now. Absolutely, as they take a commanding team fight victory inside Gaiman's base. No buyback on the Brewmaster there. They just delete the highest net worth hero for Gaiman straight off the bat. No turnaround potential, and you are running out of lives. You are running out of games to play here as Team Spirit. They don't want to just be the best team in the world. They want to prove that they are one of the best teams ever to grace this stage right now. And they are showing why. They're going to go for the Megas, play it safe. And Ags finished on Mira. He's about to kick this team straight out of the tournament if he has his way. And they're going to go right for the throne.
Quick reactions from Quinn. Has to blink away. Just one little opening is all it takes with Mira lurking from behind.
Ace back up. We'll see what he can do to stall this out. Gonna need one hell of a primal split here.
Yutoro starts pushing forward. Mira doesn't quite get it there, and they actually stop the Spirit Breaker right in front of their base, but they're locked in by the shards. Quinn's able to hop around it, but now the Swift, it holds him in place. He can't do anything against that, but at least the Brewmaster can. Gets
and they kick him in.
The throne is exploded, and now he's been
welcome to hell.
Oh no! It is too much for Gaming Gladiators to be able to handle. They are not going to be able to get through this. They have to pray to get out, but the Cathedral is merciless. It is Team Spirit who are unstoppable. They will take it. The best team in the whole goddamn world, without a doubt. Silence every other team. 3-0.
Absolutely an incredible performance in the Grand Finals against the best team in the season, an undefeated Grand Final team in Gaming Gladiators, a team that has defeated an entire lower bracket to get here. They take 3-0 in record time, kick them out of this event, claim a second Aegis for the crew, the first one for Laurel, who has fit in immaculately with this roster. This is a team everybody had on their radar, but they have slowly built it up over the course of the year, are hitting in prime form right now, and it shows. This team has multi-generational players, and now they are absolutely cementing themselves as one of the best teams ever to play the game of Dota 2.
How do you stop these guys? You can't beat them early. You can't beat them late. Even when you have the full advantage, you have full control of the game, they'll beat you on the comeback too. Team Spirit did it every way possible. Nothing is left for them but the handshakes in the end for Gaming Gladiators, who had an admirable run through the lower bracket. I mean, it was the stuff of great stories, but it comes to an end here with Team Spirit just being too damn good.
Yotoro boss. This man walks out, he shaves his head, he sends a mental message before the round even starts. This is a long due victory for them over the course of this year. They built up to it.
And for 2 times, the second time in the Dota's history, Team Spirit will claim the Aegis. Team Spirit win the International.
party. Aí, Projo,